What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And I am Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo-hoo! This week, incredible. We've got the finale, until recently, of the Hunger Games movies. Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2.
We did it.
We're going to talk about it right in time for Hutchtober to almost be over. Obviously, there's one more stop on the Hutchtober train, and right in time for the Hunger Games movies to almost be over. But there's one more stop on those coming too. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this movie's going to make money, this new one?
I don't know how much the audience cares because we're like 8 years past the last one, so everyone who's in that demo is aged out, maybe for nostalgic purposes. But I don't know. I'm a little skeptical if they'll be able to turn a good profit.
Now, to be fair, DJ, nostalgic purposes do make up roughly 80% of Hollywood's, earnings at this point.
That is true. That is true.
I also think they could maybe try to parlay the Swifties all being in theaters to just be like, this is actually the next big concert event of the season. Hunger Games, Ballad of Starbirds and Snakes or whatever. Or there's a song in it. Because apparently that is the hotness. I don't know if you've heard reports of people in Killers of the Flower Moon hearing the entirety of Taylor Swift through the walls.
Gosh.
Yeah, I am.
Well, because the Taylor Swift one, they're supposed to put the volume all the way up.
And people are encouraged, kind of, by the internet at least, for sure, to sing. I don't know if, like, in the thing, Taylor Swift's like, get up out of your seats, everybody. Throw your popcorn on the floor.
Everybody in the movie theater version of this we're going to do later. You get up and sing right now.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's apparently a very Greatest Showman Dancing in the Aisles times a million. I don't know if either of you guys were ever part of that. But,
absolutely not.
I've never seen that movie.
So I've seen it since then, but I never saw it live. But apparently this was like the first instance, at least I can think of in recent memory, of like kids getting up in the aisles singing and dancing to the songs as they were playing.
Disgusting.
I know.
Listen, for a concert movie, like, I get it, and I would tolerate it, especially if it's like young kids. For an actual movie that just happens to be a musical, get out of here.
Yeah, that is pretty gross.
It's like, you guys ever seen a Scary Movie 2, I think is the one?
Which one is that?
It's the second one. This scene isn't really related to anything that happens in it. That's why I'm like, I don't think this is the first one, but it could have been.
That's true of any scene in any of those movies.
No. They're also deeply tied to the one or two movies they're parodying and the 50 things that happened in the real world that year or whatever. But the second one, I think was like the House on Haunted Hill was kind of what they were going for most of it, or it was like like Poltergeist. Anyway, it doesn't matter. At one point, the main character played by Anna Faris in those is driving down the street, and she has it playing in her like little VW Bug or whatever, because it's a very like, these are the 2000s list of movies, playing the Vitamin C graduation song, and she's like singing along to it in her car. And the song stops and Vitamin C's like, oh my God, is it you, Vitamin C? And she's like, no. And she's like, good, then shut the fuck up and let me sing the song. That's what I would be like if I was at the Greatest Showman. I'm like, listen, there's like 10 people. There are a couple of them you can be. If you're Zendaya, if you're the one who's a giant, humongous wrestler now from High School Musical, if you're Hugh Jackman, or if you're the other ones, this is incredible. Get up there and sing with yourself. Otherwise, zero tolerance. No, thank you.
My goodness. Savage Nando coming out here. My goodness.
And listen, even if you're like a background extra who has a song in it, I'll entertain this. If you want to get involved, if you can show me the identification that says that you were in this movie, I will allow it. I'll even tell people about it. I'll say you'd never believe how great it was at the theater. But if you're just some guy, then that is a hard sell for me.
I get that.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are going to be sold to me, DJ, do you want to talk about the news of the week? Because I don't even know anything besides the two words that it is with an X between them. So it's going to be real tough for me.
I'm so excited to be heading the news of the week this week. Might be a first. So there was a collaboration announced between Magic the Gathering, the trading card game, and Marvel. and I'm sure this crossed some people's radars, like, what the fuck, I don't understand what's going on. Well, recently, and it may be a money grab, or it may be, Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro's attempt to let their creators soar. But Magic the Gathering has been doing collaborations with other IPs. So most recently, there was a Lord of the Rings set where there was like the One Ring was a card that I think who's the face tattoo guy?
The one from the Sunflower, right? That guy?
Yeah,
Post Malone ended up buying for a bunch of money.
Yeah, Post Malone bought that for like a lot of money. So, the next collaboration that Magic the Gathering has announced is with Marvel. So there's, I don't know if it's if it's one set. So just very briefly, Magic the Gathering releases like 3 sets in a year, and that's called a block. I don't know if this Marvel thing is just one set out of the 3 in a year, or if it's an entire block. So 3 sets. So it'll be a year of Marvel cards. I don't think that has been announced yet, but yeah, at a minimum, there will be in 2025 a like Marvel Magic the Gathering set. So there will be like Marvel cards in Magic the Gathering, which means like there will be sentences that will be like, I use my Sauron to instant cast Path of Exile your Hulk.
Oh, when you said Sauron, I'm like, which one? The dinosaur that doesn't want to cure cancer, or the King of all evil from the Lord of the Rings version?
Exactly, it's the Lord of the Rings one. Like, that is the insanity that Magic the Gathering is soon going to become, where it is just IP battling IP.
This is why they never should have done this. They must have had a guy that was just like, there's no characters with the same name in both of these things, right? No? All right, cool. It's not checked. There's not Frodo in Marvel, right? All right, we're good.
No characters explicitly named after one of the characters in this other thing, right?
Yeah.
So, Nando, I'm here, and Dickens, I'm here for you guys. What questions do you have for me? As someone who, I'll just tell the audience, I played Magic the Gathering for like a good chunk of my life. Like a solid decade, I was in Magic the Gathering. So I feel pretty good about it.
We've moved several boxes of Magic cards from one of your apartments to the other apartment.
Yes,
that's true. They were very heavy.
Yeah, they're just bricks of like paper, I guess. Paper and laminate.
So what questions you guys have?
So is this just Disney's attempt to get you coming and going by having Lorcana and then also working with the actual Magic?
Oh my God, I forgot about Lorcana.
I didn't even think of the Disney aspect of it, but yeah, I think Lorcana is only core Disney, but at some point, right, they're just going to put Marvel in there, right? Like they're going to
put Marvel and Star Wars and all that other shit in there, you know.
Yeah, so I guess they're going to hit you on both ends. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I think yes.
It's going to be everything but the Muppets, as is the rule. We have to make sure everyone forgets we own the Muppets. Gonzo knows what he did.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm wondering about that, like how this competes with other things. So I mean, I feel like the big elephant in the room is like Marvel Snap, right?
Yeah, like, Marvel Snap, and like it reminds me kind of Marvel Snap, because that was what company is Marvel Snap is like kind of like
they're like indie, like Second Dinner is like the developer, and then this like small like Newverse is like the like money operation behind it. Like, but they're like
Second
a pretty
Dinner did Hearthstone, correct?
The lead designer Ben Brode, who founded Second Dinner, yes, did Hearthstone. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that seems like kind of the analog here is like Marvel Snap is to Hearthstone as Wizards. It's just called Wizards? No, wait, not Wizards.
So Wizards of the Coast,
Wizards
which is making it owned by Hasbro. Yeah,
right. And Magic the Gathering is this, but this is like these are cards you will play.
You will play these cards. There will be a Hulk card that like you will play. It will have a mana cost. It will have abilities, and it could be played in any Magic the Gathering deck, depending on like what the format is. But yeah, you can have a deck with Lord of the Rings cards, Marvel cards, and I assume other IP. Soon, Wizards of the Coast will just be IP. There will be no original Magic the Gathering cards. Like that will be gone.
DJ, you can remove Wizards of the Coast and Magic cards from that sentence.
Soon everything will be IP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think there is an aspect of it that's cool. I think obviously the motivation behind it is probably a money grab. But so Nando, you're like the big Marvel fan of the podcast. Are you going to buy like these cards?
I don't know. I mean, I think at a certain point, I could be convinced to buy, if I was at like my local comic book store, just buying my comic books for the week, and I saw a couple packages of these, I think I could buy one out of curiosity. I don't think this could possibly, unless this deck was really popular and cool, and you could play it without having to learn any of the rest of these cards' names, then I don't think I'm going to like start using them to play the card game. But also, like, could you just kind of map some of the different like Marvel Snap properties onto some of the cards that are similar in the game? Like, do they have cards that do what like Gambit does, for instance, in Marvel Snap? Do they have cards that
like
do that already in Magic? Yeah, so they can't copy them.
There's like Magic's been around since like the 90s, so there's like every card. So even if I don't know it, I'm sure there is a discard a card to destroy a card on your opponent's board.
Yeah,
like I'm sure there's something like that. So that'll be very interesting for us to see if any of that is like taken over, if like they're kind of peeking over secondary shoulder. Oh, what you got going on there? Because that'll be a fun controversy. But they're also such different games, right?
Yeah.
Like Magic just takes a longer time, but like what's going to be really interesting is like there's going to be, I think somewhere on the order of like 600 Marvel Snap cards, or sorry, Marvel Magic the Gathering cards. There will be more Magic the Gathering Marvel cards than Marvel Snap cards, even by 2025. Like that's just going to happen.
Interesting. I mean, that makes sense because they won't be introducing 4 a month. Like that clip can really. Yeah. Do you think this is going to make people appreciate Marvel Snap as like
hell no.
that little baby? I think it might. I think for me it would be like there would be a point maybe where I'd start going like, am I going to learn this other game? It'd be like 600 cards. 100 is plenty for me. No, thank you. I don't need more of that.
DJ, who do you think the big celebrity that buys the one card that they make of, like, I don't know, Kevin Feige from She-Hulk or something?
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Who do you think it's going to be this time?
Is it going to be MCU stuff too, or just Marvel Comics? We
don't know. It just said Marvel. So that's it. So that two good questions, right? One, what will be the One Ring equivalent? Because Nando would probably know better than me. But who will buy it?
Kevin Feige from She-Hulk, I think, is a pretty solid one. Is there a character in the Magic cards that is also secretly God of the Magic cards that could talk to some of them if it wants?
Right.
That's pretty good for a fantasy universe.
It would be like you, the player. It's you.
Yeah, exactly.
The card is you.
Right, and you're in Magic universe. You're like technically a god controlling them or something.
Yeah,
there's like,
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. And in terms of who buys it, like I don't know. Post Malone's like a huge, like Post Malone allegedly plays Marvel Snap, so he might just want to get all of the like good cards and like pay money. Like that would be my bet, right? It's just like Wizards will make a 1-of-1 card every year, so some lucky kid who opens it can get $2 million from Post Malone.
Well, and that is, I'd say, what happened. Not exactly what happened, but I feel like they did this Lord of the Rings thing. And they went, "Oh my god, it's pretty cool if your built-in IP has in its existence already some sort of ultra powerful small device that characters can hold in value. Which series has the most of those in existence?" And they were like, Marvel has Infinity Stones, and that's not even all of them. There's a bazillion versions of those that'll come up eventually. Like they could do this once a year for the next 25 years and have equally interesting kind of different, like the ultimate nullifier or like different super weapons in the Marvel universe that most other stories don't have to, or like most other universes don't have more than one of these. Like if you made a Hunger Games spinoff, for example, I don't even know what one of them would be, but like, yeah, even like Star Wars, you could maybe find 10 things in Star Wars that are the equivalent of the One Ring. But yeah Marvel has 50.
And that's the thing with doing something like Lord of the Rings versus Marvel is like Lord of the Rings, like that is like relatively well contained. Like you can name all of the major characters, like just kind of sitting down at once. Like Marvel, like good luck, right?
Oh yeah.
Like how soon, Nando, they released the set and someone on Reddit's like, guys, you didn't put in Annihilus. Where's my Annihilus card? I was dying to play Annihilus. Yeah,
I mean, I think there's definitely like a couple of characters like that. There's a couple of characters like that, and there's also characters who, when I see them in their little Marvel, Magic the Gathering form, It's going to be another like, oh my God, I can't believe, Strong Guy has for the 5th time crossed over into the, larger context of the world before he's gotten a solo comic or whatever. Like, I wonder if this will have that effect that Marvel Snap has had where certain characters who are not important at all will now become household names, like Khazar and Zabu, for example.
Right.
Because, I don't know what to expect with that.
I figured out who the One Ring card is going to be.
What's
obviously
up?
Who?
Squirrel Girl.
Oh yeah, that's true.
God.
Yeah, there's definitely characters like that because there's actually, if we want to pick one who would really fuck up the game, there's a character who hangs around in the X-Men side of things. Although she's not a mutant, or is she? I don't remember. It's complicated because they got a bunch of their evil mutant cousins from space and then put them on Mars. And her name is Ixa the Unbeaten, and the whole deal with her is she never loses anything. So you can basically assume if she's on the side of whatever side is fighting, that side will win. So there's certain ways to game that by betting against her and stuff like that to fuck her over. But for the most part, you have characters in Marvel lore where their whole thing is they just don't lose, matchups and card games and such. And yeah, Squirrel Girl obviously had her Unbeatable Squirrel Girl series where she took down characters like Thanos and Galactus, and it was all canon and stuff like that.
Oh my God, what is Galactus's power gonna be?
I bet they'll fuck it up just like they did in Marvel Snap, make a card that I hate. My question:
Galactus's power is you, as your opponent loses as many of their cards as you can eat.
That would be amazing. Oh man, here's my other thing with Marvel, and the other thing that I don't think, because you said they did this with Lord of the Rings, and have they ever done anything like this besides that? I
think there were other maybe minor IPs, but I Lord of the Rings was the first big one. Maybe there was a Warhammer Warhammer 40K, something like that. But Lord of the Rings was the first big they did Fortnite. Yeah, they did Fortnite at one point.
Oh, okay. Well, then that ruins the question I was about to ask.
What?
Have any of the characters in the Marvel Comics universe ever played this Magic the Gathering? And if so, how is that going to affect the reality of the universe that they now occupy? Because there's got to be some nerd, some character like that who at some point has been, Peter Parker has had his books knocked out of his hand and some Magic the Gathering cards have fallen to the ground. Are we going to have to figure out what that means?
So I looked it up. So there were limited runs of cards. So like Fortnite, they had Fortnite lands where the lands were themed like Fortnite, and then they had a shrinking storm card.
I was going to say, wait, how do you do a Fortnite collaboration when Fortnite itself is just a collection of IPs?
Yeah, so apparently they just themed the lands to look like the Fortnite environment, and then they had this storm card. And then they did a couple reskins where they took an already existing card and reskinned it as a character in Fortnite. They put 11 in from Stranger Things in. So that was a limited thing. They had Daryl from The Walking Dead, Optimus Prime. They did a 15 Transformers cards.
Oh,
Optimus Prime is a card.
Wait, Daryl in Paris?
No, Daryl from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Daryl in Paris, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's in Paris now. I think he went through a portal or something. I can't explain it, but
fun.
Yeah.
And then Street Fighter. There's a Chun-Li card. There's the eight fighters. They did a Universes Beyond thing. So, but the Lord of the Rings was the first whole set. All Lord of the Rings cards in Magic the Gathering. This Marvel thing, whole set, Marvel cards in Magic the Gathering. So, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to get me in Magic the Gathering. However, A, I didn't think I would play Marvel Snap as much as I did.
Fair.
So here we are. And B, I just don't think I don't think there's space in my life for two of these. And if you could only play the Marvel version of this by itself, and that was how most people did it, maybe I would do it. But the fact that it does have to become part of the larger world of these makes it a little less doable. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm with you, Nando. I have no desire to get back into Magic because it's just too much of a fucking money sink, time sink. You can't play quick games on the toilet like you can with Marvel Snap, which allegedly that was the inspiration where some guy's legs, one of the Hearthstone developers or Ben Boat's friends, like his legs went numb playing Hearthstone on his phone because he was on the toilet for 40 minutes. Not like going to the bathroom, just sitting on the toilet playing Hearthstone. And they're like, wait, what if there was a game you could play on your toilet real quick? And that's like one of the ideas that birthed Marvel Snap. So yeah.
I would also recommend different toilet seat. You know, there's certain toilet seats that are more comfortable and ergonomic.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
think that speaks to other problems if your legs are going numb.
Yeah, I feel like I get it. You know, I've been there. I play Marvel Snap, so I've definitely been in that position before. But also, we could have been in a different world where some guy just, you know, spent all his time and energy he was going to spend making Marvel Snap, inventing a better toilet seat so that he could play as Lorcana more, or not Lorcana, whatever. What's the thing that was? I already forgot. Hearthstone. Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see in 2025, assuming we're all still around.
Wouldn't bet on
there's
it.
Last thing on this from me is I kind of want them, this would be really stupid, because there's never been like an Exodia equivalent in Magic the Gathering where it's just like, I have these cards, I win the game. I would love the Infinity Stones to be that, where it's like Thanos on the board, 6 Infinity Stones, I win the game.
It would have to be Thanos on the board, 6 Infinity Stones, flip a coin. Winner, loser, like something like that. I mean, like honestly, that's what the ultimate nullifier should be. Reed Richards' weapon that he can use to kill Galactus if he has the will to do it. And like, it's all about, it's this weird game of chicken of like, you're not going to pull the fucking ultimate nullifier. Yeah. You'll die. And Mr. Fantastic's like, see if I'm going to do it. And then they just, you know, it usually makes Galactus stop doing whatever he was about to do. But yeah, there's certain cards in Marvel that I do think you can fuck around with the kind of like the use cases of like how characters have used them to turn them into stuff like this.
Right.
But yeah, I think you know what they should put? They should put Exodia in this, you know, just get him. just like, he's probably not even, you probably can't even play him in tournaments of Yu-Gi-Oh anymore.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's banned.
Yeah, so this should be like the farm leagues where like your character can't play, you know, AAA ball. They go down to, or they can't play regular, and then they go down to like the, you know, the minors for a little bit. And Exodia works himself out because, yeah, there should be more Exodias and stuff. They really fucked us in that show by having him play Exodia and all through Blue Eyes White Dragon in the first episode.
Yeah,
maybe the second game ever shown on the card game. The two most exciting possible things happen at once. But you guys,
speaking of exciting things that happen all at once.
Speaking of a bunch of exciting things happening all at once, we got to talk about this week's movie, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2.
Hell,
thrilling conclusion to the epic side. Well, that actually might be in the title or the thing, so we'll get to it. But everybody knows the fourth and final core Hunger Games movie before Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Who is the IMDb'sman of this week?
It's not me.
That would be me.
Nice.
Ooh.
So if you're new here and you're somehow still listening, we play a little game around here called the IMDb, B as in spelling bee, where my two esteemed co-hosts have to try to guess what the IMDb summary for this movie is. Now you might be asking yourself, where does IMDb get those summaries? Well, I'll tell you. Remember Alphabet cereal?
I actually don't. Unless you're talking about
I used
Cheerios.
to love Alphabet cereal.
No, I'm talking about Alphabets.
Okay.
Yeah. They were good.
Now you're maybe thinking like, hey, how come I never see Alphabets anymore? Well, that's because all production of Alphabets has been diverted to IMDb.com headquarters.
Okay.
Where every box of Alphabets that ever gets made gets sent there, bulk order, wholesaler, so that they can take all the boxes, shuck them open, pour out all of the cereal onto a special floor of the building dedicated only for this purpose.
Yeah.
And then they put glue on one of the walls on this floor, and then interns with shovels just throw all of the loose alphabets at the wall.
Damn.
Love that.
And then whatever sticks and ends up staying there, they have to look at it and interpret as best they can whatever messages they might be able to find embedded within the alphabets clinging to this wall.
Oh, nice.
And obviously, what you said was true and is what's actually happening in the real world. Imagine my answer to that question was like, I'm eating a bowl of alphabets right now. Love them. I have a box at home every minute of the day. Like, that's my favorite cereal. This was like that moment where that guy found out the other guy was drinking fruit punch on the podcast the whole time. It's like, get out, really? But no, yeah, it is gone because you can't buy it anymore.
I'm genuinely uncertain if alphabets actually still exists or not.
It could be one of those things that was tricked into thinking existed in the first place at all. If like Arthur ate it once and then I had, Cheerios and my brain just filled in the gaps. But I'm sure it exists. Cereals never stop existing. They just go and go and go.
You ever seen a Quisp?
No, what's a Quisp?
Quisp is a really good... Imagine Captain Crunch, except it's round, so it doesn't cut your mouth.
Oh, that's lovely. So basically...
that was Quisp.
Oh, I've seen this guy before. So the rule is, start your thing with the letters QUI, and you're, an out-of-the-box thinker who has an idea that's years ahead of its time, and then eventually you become destroyed and, no one can enjoy you anymore. But... Yeah, this thing looks pretty cool.
Anyway, they interpret those messages. They're written down. Those end up being the summary of the movies, and then the interns have to spend the rest of the night cleaning the room so that the new shipment of alphabets can be sent there the next day. So I have right here before me. The alphabets was discontinued 2 years ago. Okay, I'm not crazy.
That would
really?
Wait, what happened to alphabets?
2 years though. Yeah, like they almost made it. They were chugging along for a very long time.
Another casualty of the pandemic.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say cancel culture, but maybe that too. I don't know,
perhaps both.
Yeah, did alphabets have some sort of like controversial logo or some celebrity that really got into alphabets?
I mean, you could spell any bad words you wanted with alphabets, so...
Oh, that's true. That is a big problem.
Yeah, it's huge.
Also, I'm looking it up. There was Quisp. They also made Quake at the same time because they were just like, we're fucking killing it with Captain Crunch. Or we're killing it with... we're killing it with Captain Crunch. Let's just put Captain Crunch in different boxes with different guys on the front. And they just made 2 cereals. They both kind of died. But yeah, one of them, the mascot was a pink propeller-topped alien named Quisp, and the other was a strong miner named Quake. So,
incredible.
Nobody was saying no in that room. Good for them.
So I have the random alphabets message for Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 before me right now, and it's short and it's not really correct.
Oh, what?
I can kind of see how they could do that.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
So, I believe DJ was our loser last week.
Yeah, I'm going to have Nando go first.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it'll be kind of clear what I'm going with in terms of like how I think they're wrong about this. So what I say, I am going to kind of start it with some of that wind up that I had before too. In the epic conclusion of the Hunger Games saga, Katniss, Peeta, Gale, and the rest of her team take the fight to the Capitol in an epic war to overthrow President Snow and determine the fate of Panem.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna go a little different tact. You said it's short.
It's pretty short.
Right, I'm gonna bank that Nando's was too long. Okay. Katniss. Katniss Everdeen must lead the rebels of District 13 to take over the Capitol and once and for all bring peace to Panem.
Oh, this is tough.
Damn it, I hate when it's tough.
This is real tough. It's tough because you guys, neither of you did amazing, you both got some stuff in there that is true.
Are we both on the right track that the movie, the subtitle or the summary kind of misinterprets what Katniss is actually doing during this war?
Yeah.
Like Katniss on the front.
So we got that right. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm happy we got that right.
I mean, is there a tiebreaker you can think of?
Or just pick the best one.
Or that. I mean, if you can figure out what the best one is, then go for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's me, obviously.
Do you guys? I don't know. One of you guys might know this, but there's one thing that happens in this movie, that was not scripted and was improvised by the actors involved.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't have an answer to that, so that would be a potential thing.
Was it the kiss between Gale and Katniss?
No.
Damn it.
Was it... I was going to say, was it the big last thing that Katniss does? I don't think that's it, though. That'd be wild. She was like, I've read this script, and I actually think my character would assassinate this character instead. She just fucking improv it on the day. No, is it, was it, what's like a small thing? It doesn't have to be small. Was it, the kiss between, or what? Yeah, kiss. I think it's a kiss between Haymitch and, Makeup Lady.
That is correct.
God damn it.
Incredible.
I had the wrong stupid kiss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You had the wrong, absolutely no way. Like, it's fair that there's no way that was in the book. In fact, I believe Effie in general had a much smaller role in the books, and then they kind of, like in the third book, but they were like, people like this character, so let's give her a lot to do.
Yeah, she's barely in the third one. She only shows up at the end. Like, Haymitch and Katniss do kind of like get her pardoned and not executed.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she only shows up then after they've done that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Huh.
Anyway, so Nando wins, and
wow.
I think that's fair because Nando did get one part of it like exactly correct.
Oh.
Ooh.
Because the actual summary is: Katniss and a team of rebels from District 13 prepare for the final battle that will decide the fate of Panem.
Okay.
So Nando, you said like determine the fate of Panem at the end.
Yeah, DJ got rebels from District 13, which I did not have, but yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah, that was where it was kind of tough.
So I should have cheated on the test and stole the fate of Panem from Nando.
Mm-hmm.
That I've always been a proponent of cheating. Longtime listeners know this.
I think it would have been bad to do it, but that's two
losses in a row for me. That's
real Nando territory, if you ask me. You're knocking on the door of the champ right now.
Well, DJ, at least you get your consolation prize, which is you have to tell us what happens in this movie.
Man, all right. Can I keep this brief because I kind of want to maintain that barely anything happens in this movie. So I'm gonna go with brevity on this one. Okay. So we left off where PETA has been hijacked from the Capitol and is really sad about it. So we open this movie where remember Katniss had her throat just like totally collapsed by that weak malnourished boy. So it's like, all right, Katniss, you're in recovery and she can't speak and it's terrible. And like, we're all really sad for Katniss. So what they decide is that, so they're helping PETA get better. But in the meantime, we still need Katniss to like rally the rebels. So they decide, all right, we got to take District 2. How do we take District 2? All right, District 2 is in a mountain. We're just going to make a lot of avalanches happen, and then they'll be trapped, but we'll leave a little tunnel for the civilians, and then they can get out. Great. So there's an assault. We don't see it, which is a bummer, but whatever. We'll get to that later. So we don't see the assault, but we do see the rescuing of the civilians to that one tunnel. So Katniss is there with the rebels, and then I think one of the loyalists...
DJ, the whole point is that there's not an assault. They bomb the mountain to make avalanches that blocks off the exits and then starve them out.
Right. Well, I would have liked to maybe see a little bit of that, is all I'm saying. We're good. Okay, so that happens. So Katniss is there, and then one of the loyalists shoots her, and then that rallies the rebels even further because she was shot and she wasn't killed. She survived because her suit was bulletproof, which is cool. So now Coin and Plutarch are like, all right, Katniss, you've done your job. Just stay here. We're going to take the capital because now District 2, like that was like the linchpin, right? We take District 2, the capital's ours for the taking. So you stay here and then we'll fly you in when the capital's taken. She's like, no, that's bullshit. But they're like, too bad. So then she sneaks onto like a jet or whatever and then meets the rebels who are going to now go take the capital. Okay. So they're going to go take the capital. Snow and the game had his game masters put up a bunch of pods around the city that have all like gnarly Hunger Games stuff in it. So there's like fire and like oil that if you get hit by it, chains come out of it, dogs, everything is in these pods and they're everywhere. So the rebels are gonna go in and just, I guess, similar to last week, wave after wave of my own men. Mm-hmm. Take out these pods, and then Katniss and her team that we've become familiar with, they're gonna be filming Propo in the back while this is going on to show everyone inside the Capitol, which is a hell of a plan. But sure, whatever, no big deal. Okay. Meanwhile, so they go in, and then at some point, PETA is sent to join them, but he's not totally cured yet, but they're like, it's fine. We need PETA here because it's important for the Propo that PETA be here. So sure. So at some point there's like a kerfuffle. One of the pods almost like it takes out a couple people. Then the peacekeepers, who are the bad guys in the white suits, they figure out their position. So the Capitol makes a Propo video about, and we did it, we killed the rebels, but they didn't actually kill the rebels. So the rebels are like, shit, how do we get to the Capitol? This is tricky. It's like, okay, we'll take the underground tunnels that go to the heart of the Capitol, and we'll do that. So they go through the underground tunnels. There's a zombie scene. A bunch of people die. PETA gets better along the way. They meet some more rebels, whatever, it doesn't matter. Then they... there's a message from Snow where he says, just everyone come to my mansion. All the refugees who the rebels have been destroying your homes and whatever, I guess killing them, but I don't think that's very clear that's actually what's happening. Just come to the mansion. So they're like, oh, this is perfect. Gale and Katniss, they'll go sneak in as refugees. So that's the plan. I think
if we've learned anything from Secret Invasion, you cannot trust a refugee. They're your enemies in disguise. Yes. And it is nothing but a smoke screen that the monsters will use to get you.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's what we learned.
Yep.
So they leave Peter behind for reasons I can't remember. I don't think it matters. So Gale and Katniss are about to sneak into the Capitol, but as they're like about to get there, the refugees are like getting ready for the gates of the mansion to open. A plane flies over with like the gifts from the Hunger Games that the tributes get during the Hunger Games. And they're like, oh my God, yay, gifts from the Capitol. But it's bombs, and they explode, and everyone dies. All these kids die. Prim dies because she's a medic, so a bunch of the medics die. Gale gets captured, and Katniss basically gets blown up. And then she passes out, and she wakes up, and the Capitol's taken. It's all good, guys. They did it. The rebels took the Capitol because once Snow bombed his own people, it was like, everyone just stood down and the Capitol was allowed to be taken. So now Coin's president, but she's like, I'm going to be interim president until we can figure out what's going on. And they're like, well, how long is that? And she's like, a while. Don't worry about it. Everything's cool. Katniss talks to Snow, and Snow's like, hey, actually, I know you thought I blew up those people, but actually Coin blew up those people as a false flag operation. So you should look into that. So then Coin goes, all right, we're going to have a Hunger Games with all of the children from the Capitol so they can learn a goddamn lesson. And I'm going to have a vote with all the existing victors. I think there's like 7 of them. So it's a 4 for majority. And Katniss teams up with Haymitch and two of the other ones to be like, yes, we should have Hunger Games. I mean, it comes down to Katniss and Haymitch, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, if I remember correctly, it's what's her name, the girl that
Joanna
took off her dress, and then maybe PETA, and then the two of them.
PETA says no. PETA's a firm no.
PETA does say no.
Yeah,
it's not clear in the movie. There's also the shark tooth girl from the 75th Hunger Games is there, and she votes for a Hunger Games,
right?
Because obviously,
forgot about that.
And then she's like, by the way, I think we should let at least one person from our team play Hunger Games to show how cool and tough we are.
So then they're like, great, we're gonna have a Hunger Games, but first we're gonna execute Snow in like the big Capitol Square, and we're gonna film it. It's gonna be amazing. So, and this, guys, whatever we'll talk about, it blew my mind as I saw it unfold. So the Snow's there, and then so it's execution by arrow from Katniss, and not one of those explodey arrows, just a regular arrow. That's how you will be executed. Awful. So
I mean, Katniss has one shot killed every character she's ever aimed a bow and arrow at before, so I guess in this universe that would seem like a good idea. But yeah, pretty tough. I cannot imagine our best archers could do that from that distance in real life.
I think that, it was more about the symbolism than the giving Snow a nice or clean death.
Sure. Well, we'll get
just
there.
imagine how fucked the symbolism would be, though, if she just went, like, sailed left, completely missed him.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, it's windy. Can I try again? I don't think we should take this as a sign that God wants him to live. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, Katniss is standing maybe like, I don't know, like what feels like 200 feet from Snow.
So far, yeah, football field.
Yeah, like insane. And then behind that, Coin is up on this like dais, another like 300 feet back, being like, Katniss Everdeen, kill Snow and bring peace to Panem. So Katniss knocks her arrow and then gets ready to fire, and Snow's like a little smirk, like, yeah, you gonna do this, you gonna do this. And then Katniss tips her bow up, looses the arrow, and it just kills President Coin.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like not a delay, but the arrow's got to travel pretty far. And I guess Coin just had her eyes closed with her arms open and just takes that arrow right to the chest and dies. And then everyone rushes Snow. I guess he gets killed by just a mass of people by their bare hands.
He gets Mussolini'd.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, so Katniss is taken away to, I think, like a holding cell, but this is not very clear. Haymitch comes in. It's like, hey, I have a letter from Plutarch. And it's like, hey, what you did was pretty gnarly, but that, we're going to have to move forward. So now all 12 districts are going to vote on a new leader. It's going to be the lady who's been like militarily, tactically leading the rebellion, I think from District 4 or something like that. And then flash forward, Katniss has kids with PETA, and everything's cool. I guess there's peace, and we have a functioning democracy now. And that's the movie, guys. That's the movie.
Yep,
that is the movie.
That is the movie.
Oh boy.
I mean, I think you got all the big important parts. There's a bunch of other bullshit that you missed, but we'll get to it in the thing. And by missed, I mean deliberately skipped, like a wedding and stuff. But like as far as things that actually matter, you got most of the things. But yeah, let's see. I won, so I get to say what I thought of the movie, correct?
Yeah.
Nando, as our winner, you get to say your thoughts first.
Didn't like it. Think the end of the movie's bad and it ruins the whole thing. I think this movie has some interesting things. I do think this part of the movie, I think what I liked about the Hunger Games up until this point is how fresh and interesting it felt. And I do feel like, and we'll get to some of them because I can already see them on the wheel, this does feel like it kind of falls into a couple of tropes that I think are kind of boring, but also just pretty unsatisfying with the somewhat more nuanced political like messages of this franchise so far, especially stuff that we've done in the last two books as far as like, or movies, as far as like what waging a war on a repressive regime would look like in this universe and stuff. I think that I do not like this resolution. I especially don't like how quick it is, and like not quick necessarily, but how it because it's not quick. It takes some time, but it takes less time than you would expect considering what it is. And I don't know. I don't know what they were going for with this, but I didn't like it. I think a lot of the stuff in the Capitol also just kind of doesn't work for me. Like the PETA stuff, like we're saying, we kind of said this last week. I think DJ said like it probably will get resolved in a way that's pretty convenient, pretty quickly. And I think it doesn't do that exactly, but it also, you could forget it happened by the end of this movie at all. And yeah, I think a lot of the stuff with her, with main characters at the end doesn't really work for me either. I think there's an interesting, like, it's easy to look at this and look at other similar kind of media like Andor and see what the story of the rebellion is versus what the story of whatever comes after is, and what a successful version of that second thing is, and see something like Andor, which doesn't do this in universe, but like has like a further version of that universe where the government's somewhat inept and leads to a second, group of bad guys or whatever. But yeah, this movie just kind of has like, doesn't really seem to put much, I don't know. It's not like not thought in it, but I just didn't like it. I think all the actors are good in this one. I think all the fighting is boring. And I think a lot of the traps are kind of dumb and generally unnecessary. This is the only other one too that feels like it does some action for the sake of action, as opposed to like some specific rebellion or whatever that they're trying to do. To the point where like it would make complete sense if they just went to the battlefield afterwards and there were no more pods because they already used them all.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
They just kind of walk down and have like a little talk while all the rest of the people die in front of them. But instead, it's like, no, they actually put even more traps for us. And we don't know where they are, even though we have a map of some of the traps. Like, who gives a shit about the map then? It's fine. Also, this movie kills Mahershala Ali, which I was not happy about. Yeah. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I don't know. I'll probably come up with more stuff as we go. But overall, I really like these so far. Not a fan of this one. I think the franchise suffers greatly from some of its late game decisions. Yeah, and I kind of understand now why, even though I never saw this one, I knew what the plot moves were. I kind of can understand why I was kind of cold going into this, is because it leaves a weird taste in your mouth. DJ as second place, some would say loser of the game. What are your thoughts on Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2?
I really think you nailed it, Nando. I for a movie that is supposed to be rebels like taking power from a very oppressive government, it hits like all of the wrong notes. I know in the beginning it's like they get District 2 by just kind of like bombing it and causing earthquakes, and they explain it, but like show me some of that. Like all of the interesting things in this movie aren't shown, right? The siege on District 2, the initial like breaching of the Capitol, like that could have been a cool scene. The eventual taking of the mansion, right? Like all of the cool stuff that should be happening is not seen. It's almost like this movie was like a tell, don't show, which I think is so weird. I just think it's like a pretty like misguided choice. So it left me with that kind of like sourish taste in my mouth. And I didn't like it all that much. So yeah, pretty low on this movie. I think it's pretty bad. And like they had 2 movies to do this, and it feels like the most inefficient use of time ever. It's like nothing happens in that first one. There's so much chaff in this, not chaff, like just like fat. Like, I don't need the wedding. Why are we doing that? It's not cool.
Because they did it in the Harry Potter movie, DJ. It's the rules. The redhead needs to get married in the last one or something.
If the goal of this was to be a Harry Potter movie, then I guess they did a good job. But otherwise, I think this was like pretty weak.
That would be crazy if that was the end of the Harry Potter series. It's like Dumbledore takes over and Harry's like, you know what? Fuck Dumbledore too. Kills Dumbledore and then just leaves. I don't think that's how those end. I'm pretty sure Dumbledore's dead before that. I don't know what character would be the analog, but I don't know. What was that guy, Neville? If they kill Dumbledore, or they killed Voldemort and then Neville takes over, Harry executes Neville at the end.
Honestly, that probably would have been a better ending.
Yeah, that's true.
Harry Potter
That would have been pretty cool.
Because that would have implied that Harry had some sort of principles or beliefs.
Yeah, I would have liked that, actually. And I'll give it to you, DJ. I think you could... See, I think the talk don't, or tell don't show, I think you could have done that. And that's the part, I think, that the part that what we chose to show in this movie felt so, like, pointless compared to, I understand like the idea of like, I guess I could see a version of this movie where we show next to nothing and it's still way better.
Right.
But the fact that they left us some little Hunger Games breadcrumbs because otherwise the audience wouldn't like it, I think is dumb. Also, I didn't make this clear, although I think it was pretty upfront about this. I think the characterization of President Coin and turning her to the main villain at the end is insane. Right? And like, especially considering what we've kind of known about her up until this point, feels very like, I don't know, it feels like camp comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. So not a fan. Diggins, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys raise a lot of good points here. You know, like I think the division of the two movies is crazy that they've so backloaded it, where the first one is just full of padding, and a lot of that middle stuff where it's like, oh man, all the Hunger Games stuff is here is very silly and kind of hard to take seriously, and also none of it ends up like the whole middle mission doesn't actually matter to the plot.
Yeah,
everything happens as it would have otherwise, except Katniss is there to see it.
Yeah. There's like two things that I think are like moments where you see the Capitol for the first time and you like spend time in it and you learn something about it. And I'm like, I get why we did this scene specifically or whatever, but like most of it's just stuff for the trailer. It feels like.
So there's a lot of problems like that with this movie, but I like it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm a little surprised.
I mean, is it the weakest one of these? Definitely. But I kind of like it. I don't know. I think the ending worked better for me than it did for you guys. For reasons that we'll discuss when we get to the ending.
Okay.
But I think there is something, I guess, kind of what I was saying about the Harry Potter thing is like, this feels like an ending that is still trying to make a point and like say something about the themes and ideas that this series has tried to grapple with. And I don't know, maybe I'm judging it against a low standard, but compared to how these things normally are, your Twilights, your Harry Potters, etc., I'm like, you know what? This thing stuck to being political about it to the very end, and I'm happy about that.
All right.
That's fair.
Yeah. I get that.
So yeah, no, I don't know. I think it's still a weak ending, and like there are a lot of problems with it. But I am so used to these being so bad that I will take a flawed movie with some good stuff in it over what I was expecting.
Do you think
Harry Potter really set the bar low when it comes to these?
Do you think you
and
having
Twilight
read the
to
movie,
some extent?
Sorry, do you think?
Yeah, that I was going to bring that up. Also, yeah, I read the book, so I knew all this stuff was coming.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like getting a chance to recontextualize it and like digest it some more than I did back then.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to just seeing it for the first time. So that might also be affecting my opinion.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That. Yeah, I get that.
Well, speaking of our opinions, as we know, DJ has a very negative opinion of this.
Yes.
We have a wheel here. And would you guys like to look at the wheel? See what we can learn from it? You
know me. I'm a big wheel looker.
Well, we can never gaze too long upon the wheel. We can only see it one slice at a time, or else its majesty would overwhelm us.
That's right. And you know what? I think it's a pretty majestic wheel. We do have a lot of wheel stuff for this wheel, so I'm pretty interested. I want to see what, where people fall on some of this stuff. But yeah, let's get to it. Because I do think this movie, more than maybe the others, was kind of made for the wheel. I'm going to spin it and land it on one of the Diggins's. We got to bust a nut. Let's talk about the nut. The first big thing that happens in this movie.
Yeah. So perhaps foreshadowing conflicts that would arise later in the movie. Who can say? Again, DJ's unfamiliar with this technique, so he might not have realized it. They're talking about there's a huge like military fortress with a lot of weaponry and other stuff that the Capitol keeps in District 2 called the Nut. and everyone loves the nut.
Do you know anybody in real life that talks like that when they're talking about like saved money?
Like I gotta get your nut.
Yeah, and it just makes me want to. It's like make my head explode. But
God, I need my nut to be as big as possible.
They say that, and I don't know if they're like trying to be funny or what. But it is the strangest.
When I've got a little nut, then I'm like, this wasn't even worth doing.
Exactly. Oh, it's bizarre, and that's what President Snow would say too. It's like he wants to have get that nut as big as possible. You know,
we need a big nut. Yeah.
Worst thing that can happen, and I think this is something President Snow would say, is a woman comes in and the whole thing just gets completely, emptied, and it's like what a mess. This is not what this nut was for at all. For storage only. Katniss ruined it.
I feel like I've lost the plot on this one.
Yeah, we really threw you off, huh? Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You put it on the wheel. You gave us all this wonderful nut to work with.
Something about what Nando said really.
I think they could make a really weird reading of this movie based on certain themes and stuff, and just completely not definitely not what the movie is saying, because maybe secretly that is what the movie's about. But it's really hard to completely miss it when they call the thing the nut. And,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, like say Katniss busts a nut.
But yeah, so they're having a little war strategy meeting, where they're like, we'll have to send wave after wave of our own men to distract them in one front while we bust the nut from the other front.
As you do.
And the wave after wave of men who would be sent are like, I don't know about that plan.
Love it.
And then the other plan is, what if we just completely sealed up the nut so that everyone inside starves to death? Katniss is like, there's people who aren't soldiers in there. And Gale's like, if you're part of the Capitol and you're not on our side now, then you're basically an enemy. It's okay if we kill innocent civilians if they voted for the government that we don't like.
I mean, those are the rules, I actually agree.
And then Katniss says, actually, there's not voting. And back when there was, like, half the population today was children, so they weren't, more than half the population today were children and didn't vote in that election. So really, under no reasonable circumstance could you call this a government that represents the will of the people who live there. And Gale is like, whatever, I don't care.
That's a great point, Gale.
I do think it's a good point.
Yeah. It's a weird...
But this tension is resolved in this scene because they do the plan that DJ mentioned, where they leave one exit open that anyone who wants to surrender can come through. So that's fine. But, maybe some things to think about.
Yeah, and, like, again, I feel like this has to be better in the book, or, like, kind of this division of, like, what Coin and the Gale and, like, some of those forces want versus what Katniss and them want. And like why they want it, I guess. I don't think we need like the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for Coin, but I do feel like for me this kind of comes out of nowhere, or not comes out of nowhere, but like comes out of for no reason. And I found it kind of frustrating because she's not like I want to say in this movie she's characterized as way more like you were kind of saying, like violent and like not like vindictive, that's not the way to describe it, but like wants to punish the bad victim, the bad not capitals, what are they called, districts and stuff.
Yeah,
but like I did not get that in the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get anything from her in general.
Well, that's like the awkward part, right? It's like, where does this come from?
Right, yeah. And it does kind of feel like this movie's like, we actually need a villain. Shoot, who has so little going on that we can actually say that they were the villain the whole time, kind of. Her.
Well, shouldn't it be Plutarch? Like, Plutarch should be the villain, right?
I mean, that would actually be a really interesting thing to do in a movie where the main character playing him is alive the whole time, and like, they could, kind of twist that with, because he is like the kind of, wheeler and dealer who's making moves and trying to get power, maybe. Yeah, exactly. So like, I think you could make that case, and I don't think this is why, but like in a world where that actor, dies between filming them and becomes like, it would be crazy if they re-edited the movie to make him the secret villain, even though that might be more thematically consistent with what it seems like has happened so far.
Yeah, I think this is a problem with the books too, where Coin does not show up until the last one. So like all her characterization comes from this last book, and that makes it a little, I don't know. It does make it a little strange to have her be like the final figure when she is like this relative newcomer. I understand why and like the point that's being made, but I agree, like, from a plot / audience perspective, it does feel strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially for me in 2015 when this movie came out, because she very much felt like this, moderate kind of, democratic centrist woman who was going to be in charge, and like out of nowhere at the end of the movie, that's like, no, fuck her too, she's bad, and then that's like completely justified. And I don't think that's what they were saying completely, but it does feel so both sidesy and kind of pointless.
That specific parallel was definitely not what was initially intended, considering it was written and released in like 2012.
Yeah, although she was like Secretary of State then. Like the Hillary train was moving pretty strong. She had just lost a pretty big primary against Obama 4 years before, and like I think it definitely in 2012 everyone knew she was going to run in 2016. It's funny how much you could kind of read some of the things. It's like, yeah, that is kind of, they were kind of going for Hillary Clinton there. What was the bad guy they were writing her against? Oh, they had no idea. This is one of the least Trumpy, like kind of eccentric leader villains that I've seen in a movie like this in a very long time.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, they nut all over her. She gets nutted. The nut gets exploded. But DJ, I spun the wheel again, landed on one of yours. Bulletproof.
Yeah. So
that.
I think.
Now be careful, Nando. If you sing that too well, we will get content ID'd.
Well, I don't think we're in too much trouble, but in general, this is why you got to get bad singers for podcasts. Otherwise, they will get they'll get beaten. I have that happen so much to me when I watch shows, specifically Taskmaster. I've noticed this recently, where like I'll watch something and the audio just drops out for a while. I'm like, is my TV broken? It's like, no, they used a song here that they can't use on YouTube, so I got caught out.
So, incredibly, there is a point where Katniss, this is what during the Siege of the Nut, when they're trying to get all the civilians out, and like the rebel people. Where
it's in the middle of Katniss busting a nut.
That's right.
Yes. So they still got loyalists there.
DJ, would you say that busting makes her feel good?
What was it? Busting with the family is the way to do it. What was it?
That's right. Yeah.
The whole family busts together or something like that.
That was great. Oh man, that was cool. I was going to say, this is post-busting the nut. Nut has been busted. So this isn't what with some wartime experts call the refractory period.
Oh, yeah. This is the afterglow.
Yeah. This is after it has been thoroughly. Yeah. Just there's no more guys in it.
So, Katniss is trying to help, and then she has this speech with this guy who's like, "Give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you," and she has like a pistol like to her neck. And she has like a speech about how we must stand against President Snow. And then one guy's like, fuck this, and just like unloads fire, and Katniss gets shot right in the stomach. But she has bulletproof armor on, so it's fine. And guys, what the fuck? Like, it was so early in the movie. I'm like, well, the character can't be invincible this early. This scene has to happen like much later when the stakes are ratcheted up, and I'm like, oh my god, she might die. Not here where it's like she definitely didn't die. Like, what was the point of this scene?
I guess it's to, like, kind of ground her for the middle of the movie, so she can't have been on the front lines. I mean, I guess it makes a thing where, like, Snow gets to propagandize her death and turn it into something, and, like, both teams get to kind of play with that.
Well, he doesn't do that yet, because
Right.
this one, he knows she's definitely not dead, because the rebels don't make a big thing of it right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get to see Coin do that a little bit, or at least I don't remember if she does it or just kind of flirts with the idea of fully pretending Katniss is dead. But does she just kind of let what happened to Katniss? Did they kill her? Just let that simmer? I don't remember.
I think Coin's like, we're gonna say you lived because it's such a good story, but hey, stay here. Don't go hang out with the rebels. You got shot, which like is fairly reasonable. I think it's good. I think it's best case scenario for her, right? Because you don't have to. You get to have had her make a very daring sacrifice for the good of the whole country, and then you don't have to lose her in the first round of fighting on the ground in a way that makes it look like your team kind of sucks. Right, exactly.
You get to have it both ways.
And I guess one thing in defense of this here is that they do treat bulletproof stuff fairly realistically, where it's like so forceful and painful that she like passes out and she has a bruised lung and like cracked ribs and stuff, which is, a bulletproof thing will make sure will help you not die, but it still really, really hurts.
Yeah. Oh, also, by the way, we learned that it's bulletproof because Joanna like invites her in the hospital bed that she's in, and it's like, of course, Cinna would make your suit bulletproof, and I'm like, why? Why is her suit bulletproof?
Well, this is the special Mockingjay one. He decided for her to actually be a rebel.
Wait, Cinna intended for her to be a rebel?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cinna was in on it.
That's why
I said that last movie, DJ.
Okay, well, I apologize. I
when the dress did like the big Mockingjay thing in the talk show, that was like his like, oh, this guy's cool. Like, not cool. Obviously, he was cool, but this guy's part of it. It's weird because they did this for him now. He does feel like if you were just watching this movie 10, 20 years from now, kind of forgetting everything that happened outside of it, this is the actor that I would assume died halfway through or something. And then they keep going like, this is the last thing Cinna left you. And like, it's,
yes.
Obviously they kill his character and you kind of see when that would have started. But yeah, it's so interesting watching this back because you get a lot of that throughout the last movie and this one.
Right.
Rip in peace, Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, what were we saying about that? Oh, bulletproof. Yeah, I guess it is a little bit of a weird thing to be like, and of course, Sid would make your last suit bulletproof. And you'd be like, wasn't my first suit not bulletproof? Was that an option? That would have been sick if I could get that the whole time. And everyone's suits are bulletproof, I assume. Right.
Yeah, actually, all the Hunger Games suits are bulletproof. It's just that they're not allowed to use bullets in the Hunger Games, so it doesn't matter. And
that is weird in this movie that because we've had guns before. The Peacekeepers all have little pistols, and sometimes they have like machine guns that they used. But like the escalation from guns to no guns, or no guns to guns, as like the major thing we're dealing with. But Katniss still has the arrow and stuff. It's a little strange to me. It's fine. I don't think it's bad, but it just does feel kind of jarring, especially when like Gale still has an arrow, a bow and arrow, like a what's that called? Crossbow. It's like, give him a gun for sure.
Yeah.
But I know what
I get why Katniss don't got a gun, because that's her whole thing is that she's the bow and arrow lady, and it's meant to be more propaganda than that she's a real soldier.
Yeah.
But I feel like the people who are supposed to protect her should have guns.
I don't think anybody's like not sold on this whole rebellion thing. They're like, well, they did give Gale a crossbow, though. You know what? This is a pretty cool rebellion. I think
we have to stay on theme. That's what's most important is branding when you're in a rebellion. That's the most important thing.
I kind of think maybe this was Finnick's whole doing, because like no one has a stupider weapon and like kind of more pointless gimmick than him. But he's like really like, just every time they have a meeting, he's like, we're doing the gimmick thing. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm water and she's bows and this guy's bows, and like he's like a Yu-Gi-Oh character or something, where it's like, you would not make that deck. It's a bad deck unless you decided you're the water guy and you're just going with it. And like,
I love that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens to him, but it's commitment to the bit is somewhat confounding for me.
Mm-hmm.
what else about the bulletproof? I like her armor in this. I like a good asymmetrical costume.
Sure.
In comics and in this stuff too. It's pretty cool.
I get that.
It's better than that kind of bland, kind of gray, like future armor stuff that we get in everything following this.
Yeah.
Like the X-Men get this in the next X-Men movie that comes out right after this. And like, it became a thing. And I forget that this like franchise didn't invent it, that I would say it kind of popularized it. But in this movie, they did go out of their way to give the main character something interesting to wear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you see the poster where she's wearing a big dumb Black Widow red catsuit?
Yeah. That was weird.
I don't know why, considering it's not even remotely what she wears in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like they had the posters for these. These posters also for me are all super they all blend together. I do think as a look, it's consistent, which I'm sure is valuable, but I do wish that there was a little bit more going on.
Sure.
In the distinction between these. And it kind of seems like a whatchamacallit, a consequence of them just being like, it's a second movie or it's a third movie again. So like make it look like that third movie so people know to go see it, just like they did with the third one.
Yeah.
Like they had a series of character portraits. They didn't really, or posters that they didn't do anything with, obviously. Like in the real movie where everybody had kind of painted faces, that was little Mockingjays in their face, which I don't think looks amazing, but I do think some sort of aesthetic thing like that could have helped. But yeah, I mean, maybe they tried that. It looks stupid. Speaking of things that look good, I spun the wheel again. This is Diggins' thing. I don't think it has anything to do with the movie, but you did say this right before we started recording. It says nothing says perfection like white. So yeah.
Well, that skips us all the way towards the end.
Oh, really? Is it the end? I thought he was at his little dinner. I couldn't remember.
No. He says this when he talks to Katniss.
Oh, you're right.
So maybe you misread the wheel. Maybe it's actually somewhere else. Maybe it's something else that came up.
That's true. It actually is. It's a different thing. This one, it just says Gale Pollux and Nitro Zeus. We're going to talk about Katniss's, what has otherwise been known as Katniss's Suicide Squad or Katniss's Expendables or whatever. This isn't an Expendables because a couple of them die. It's whatever.
That's true.
Something else.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of suspicious when Slipknot joined Katniss's crew. And I was like, this guy's not in any of the trailers or the marketing materials.
It's like, there's no way.
This guy's Finnick, the man who can swim everywhere. Like, I don't know if that's going to be important. If it is, I hope he makes it out of the swimming level. But, yeah, we get a little Suicide Squad for her, which, to be fair, they did kind of invent most of them last movie, except for a couple of newbies. Let's talk about the newbies. Mahershala gets a main role here, like he's in charge of this.
Yeah.
And his whole thing. Do you guys what's his bit in this? How's he going to help?
I honestly can't remember. He has a gun and he's not afraid to use it.
Well, I mean that. He also has the map.
The hollow, right?
The hollow, which says where all the pods are, and he's like, Katniss, I'm going to make sure you live through this because you've earned it.
Yep. And that is pretty much it for him. Besides just him being the guy who's going to yell orders and stuff because he's in charge.
Yeah.
Who are the other characters introduced just for this mission?
His second in command, Johnson?
Something like that. Yeah. I honestly can't even kind of remember, but she did exist.
Then there's League 1 and League 2, who are like two siblings,
mm-hmm.
Who are just kind of hanging out. And then there's like two other dudes, I think.
I could be convinced they were there before, but I think you're right. I think there were 4 original filming guys. And there were a couple of like guard people besides Gale. Yeah, it was like
last movie.
It was cameraman. It was director woman. It was Game of Thrones, Daredevil friend, and his brother, I think, was in the original crew. And then I think there was a 4th guy, but I cannot remember what he looked like or did. But I think there might be another one added to this team. I cannot remember. And then we also get all the other secondary characters who weren't on some of the original missions are part of this now.
Mitchell,
Finnick.
Jackson, and Holmes.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't remember any of them. Were they on the first team?
Yeah, they were part of the Star Squad.
Oh no. Is that what it was called? That's a lot.
Jackson is the second in command.
Oh, okay.
So
Strong
Mitchell
name.
and Holmes were the other two.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I liked that they didn't really ever get anything interesting to have. You know, that was fun. None of them had a signature weapon or some sort of like thing. It was very Slipknot.
Yeah.
When you
Oh
get
my
down to
gosh.
it. I was glad to see Finnick was back after his wedding. That was definitely what was was sealed his fate as the character that was going to die in this.
Yeah.
You know who we didn't get? We didn't get any of Annie, which I'm like, she's a victor. Could she help?
Oh yeah.
Well, she gets married, so that's something.
So did Finnick. Like,
yeah, but Finnick is a big manly boy,
That's
and
true.
she's a frail little girl. As we all know, boys are strong and girls aren't.
and I can't remember. Jenna Malone is not around for this. I don't think. Is it because she's still in like?
Yeah, I
torture.
think she's still like recovering from torture. Yeah.
Yeah, but PETA comes on this trip.
Which, ill-advised, I might say.
Yeah, I mean, it happened exactly what you think happens. Kind of happens, and it gets a couple people killed. So,
Yeah.
be a real bummer if you're one of the people that were like, I don't think this was a good idea, and then you died because of the thing happening.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of like, I told you so, right before it gets swallowed by the big
Oh,
oil
hell yeah.
or whatever.
It's
And that would be pretty good feeling.
Because PETA pushes the guy into the oil or whatever, and then he'd be like, "You fucking asshole!" I just, and then the chains come up. And what's with the chains in the oil? I didn't understand.
So it's not clear in the movie. It's actually a separate pod that gets triggered.
Yeah. Oh, really? I
wow.
don't
Yeah,
know.
it's not actually related to the oil. This guy's just very unlucky.
I was like, wow, they put chains in the oil. That's cool.
Well, and the oil already like kind of kills you. It seems like by like freezing you or something.
I
or
think it's
whatever.
just that you drown in oil because oil is very thick and like dense.
Oh, part of me thought that it was like an acid where if it even if it touched you, it would kill you. Otherwise, I'm
maybe.
I mean,
I think it's supposed to be like tar, so it's like sticky and drags you in.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a new bonus wheel segment on my own little private wheel here. Tick. Could
Wow, DJ
Nando
hates the
defeat
wheel
it?
so much? He's got his
Oil.
own little wheel. Could defeat oil? I mean, for sure. If he knew how high it was going to go, I do think some of these guys like run for their lives, and it's like it's going to get in your socks, I guess. But like, if you're at angled level and it's not boiling hot, there's worse things. At one point, they just shoot a big arrow through an empty, like street, and just flamethrowers explode everything. And like, I'll take oil over that. These are very sporting little pods sometimes where they don't just fill the thing fully. There's like a good minute of like all the walls closing in to like wall you in. Also, all the walls close them in as like part of the trap. The oil doesn't go that high. I don't think they needed to do that. And it's not like it totally, like there's no way out without the walls. Like you could just, like they do, go through an open shop or whatever. I don't know. The whole pods thing is dumb.
Not a fan.
Like, why even bother having him have a map of them at all? If they're going to be like, by the way, there's some stuff that's not on the map, so we can't actually trust the map to, well, we're not going to be able to avoid all these things, but we can avoid kind of some of them.
Right.
Who cares? But
yeah, I get it. Like, I get the frustration.
Yeah, it's tough. But this is the bit where, what's his name? Where, Finnick says, "Welcome to the 76th Hunger Games."
Oh my gosh.
So he gets the one line that it was good.
This doesn't count. I don't care if they're like, "Oh, it was the Hunger Games." I'm like, "No, it wasn't. Shut up."
I mean, the Hunger Games are about as pointless as this. Like, it's pointless in terms of like you'll accidentally die from, like evil monkeys. It's like, yeah, this makes about as much sense.
Yeah, it's all right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I do think if we are counting this as a Hunger Games, the amount of people that survive Hunger Games just never does not stop going up as these movies continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like historically 1, and it's like, that's incredible. And then this is the first time 2, and then the third time it's like 6 or 7, and now it's like 20. Pretty much everybody survives. So, you know, they're pretty good odds for that one that would have followed this. They all would have made it out, but they weren't paying attention. I spun the wheel again, you guys. This landed on one of mine. There's zombies in the tunnels or something. What the fuck is this?
What the fuck?
Somebody explain this to me. This
Guys,
doesn't seem like it's a pod. It's just what they have.
Yeah, they're mutations. You remember mutations?
So I couldn't tell if they were mutations or not, because it seems like whoever decided to go underwater or underground, they were going to do that because there were not pods there, or they couldn't put them there or something.
Right.
Like, they could have been mutations in the sense that someone at one point was like, tried to engineer people, accidentally made zombies, and they just threw them into the sewer.
Yeah.
Like, was that what this was?
No. Snow releases them. Snow, like, they are, like, sent there to attack them by the Capitol. Because we see, though, like, Snow is, like, being a sickly old man, and his advisor is like, Katniss is alive. See, she's here in the sewer. And he's like, we must do something about this. And then the lizard men attack.
Right.
So that was a deliberate, like, thing that they did.
It's pretty good. It's better than oil.
Yeah. If that pod had lizard mutations in it, then they would have all died.
Yeah. And if this pod had oil in it, they'd also have all died.
They really should have
switched 'em up.
changed. Yeah, they should have changed what was where.
Man, this game maker situation, it's kind of like a football coach where you're like, this coach isn't doing very well. And then they sub him in for a different coach who like loses every game. Like, man, we did not know how good we had it with whatever his name was, Seneca Crane. We were just running a competent Hunger Games.
Sean
it's apparently
Payton was the
really
greatest.
hard.
Or no, Nathaniel Hackett was the greatest Hunger Games coach of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean Payton was just a piece of shit.
Apparently, yeah. It's just a disaster down there. They're putting... It does feel like they just dropped random pods wherever. Like, not good.
No,
You would at least figure there's a theming of like the water ones go here and the armies of guys ones go here. But I don't even know if they had labels. If they just all said pod and they just tossed them.
Can you imagine? It's just pod. It's like, how do we know it's what? It's like, it doesn't matter. They all kill.
I mean, that would make sense if what's his name Plutarch did that. If he just erased all the information about what was on the pods, and you can't open it because if it opens, it just might fill a room with hot oil. So you just kind of got to go with it. You got to go on vibes with what the pods actually do. But at least as far as I can remember, that's not made clear. But yeah, the Hunger Games are mismanaged to hell. So maybe they thought they killed it.
Yeah, I guess a better management of these Hunger Games.
I mean, it is scary to have mutant lizard men attacking you in the sewer, I guess. Yeah. Pretty fucked.
Yeah, every time I'm attacked by lizard mutant men in the sewers, I get very scared.
Yeah.
But I am a huge coward.
Me too. I'm enough of a coward that I remember when this was in the trailer for the movie, I was like, I don't think I want to see this movie. Not like it's not going to be good or anything, just like I don't like it when this is in movies. And lo and behold, it's in a lot of movies. To be fair, like Avengers did this with Hawkeye and the thing, but like this movie went all in on this weird little thing that has never been seen before, like monster zombie guys. This would have been a cool place to put the faces of dead characters on them or something like that thing that we skipped over in the last one, but
in the first one,
right? Yeah. In the last event in the first one. But yeah, there's no time here. They couldn't even bother. And this is where, like I said, Finnick dies very heroically, sacrificing himself with his big stupid trident.
For like seemingly no reason, by the way.
Yeah, like in one of those sacrifices where like in the moment I get it, like it makes sense, but it is so pointless in the case of like, this is what they would do.
I mean, in fairness, I don't think he does it on purpose.
Yeah.
I think because he was trying to get out to the very end there, but then they drag him back down and are killing him. And Katniss is just like, well, he's being he's like being eaten alive right now, so I should probably set off his detonator so he doesn't suffer.
Yeah, and also I feel like there's that moment, it's been a couple weeks since I watched this, but like there's a moment where he's crushing it because he has a trident. He cannot be stopped. But at one
he's
point,
in the water.
He's in the water. Yeah, that's true. He's touching the water with at least a foot, so he's unbeatable. But then at one point, he has to throw his trident to save Katniss, probably, or something, because of some kind of ill-timed, like some bad luck on the field. But you kind of assume if that didn't happen, he would have killed them all, and they just would have walked to the Capitol in the sewers. So, good for him. I would be pretty bummed if I was his wife. I was just like,
right?
I mean, you'd tell her, you'd be like, he died spinning that fucking sword trident thing around. And she'd be like, that's the best death. Every night he went to bed praying that would be how he went. So good.
Especially because we find out later his wife was pregnant at the time.
That's right.
That really sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. I guess that's what you do, right? You get your wife out of Capitol jail and you just immediately baby making time.
Yeah. As soon as she's recovered.
Mm-hmm.
The second.
Yeah. So good for him, I guess. I spun the wheel again, you guys. Landed on one of mine. This one's super important because it's so fucking weird. Because President Snow was also really into cats. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Who's got a cat person in it?
Oh, yeah. Furry's real.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, right? It's like, do we go to the shop? And this is the one part of the movie that I'm almost like, okay, this is worth it. Having a character be here. Like seeing a person in the Capitol who's like, yeah, hey, President Snow, because look at how weird he made my life.
Yeah.
He made me be a furry.
Yeah, it made this person be a furry because they weren't beautiful enough. And like, can you imagine if you got a call from the president that was like,
if Joe Biden,
you let yourself go. Yeah. And like, all right, I'll hit the gym. No. He has faxed over a picture of it says it's just a cartoon drawing of a cat, and he wants this.
Now listen here, Jack. This is what's called a fursona.
Oh my god.
It just whispers into the mic, we're doing cats. You're a cat now.
Oh, that's so bad.
And it's upsetting to look at, and I get that that's the point, but man, it does make the Capitol like really weird. Part of me in the beginning, when you see the Capitol in 2, I'm like, I think I'm living in the Capitol, not so bad. I would trade life in District 12 for District Capitol, but now I think I'd prefer to be in 12.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a furry, right? That's not something you would do.
Yeah, that's
but
always
I won't
been my
do
limit.
that.
Nando's number one fear in life is that one day Joe Biden will call him and tell him he has to be a furry.
Yeah,
and he can't say no.
I can't. It's the deal we've made. Me and Joe. He gets to. I don't really get anything out of this deal either. He just gets to call me and tell me to be a furry at any point. It's kind of like it's like a nuclear. It's like a deterrent, I guess. For him to do it, it would be such a damaging political move. Although maybe the people would be into it. I don't know. What if Trump in like 2018 was like, Rudy, I want you to be a furry? I think he could have gotten him to do it. But do you think that would have been enough for people to be like, I follow this guy through thick and thin, but I gotta call it.
This is too much.
If Trump had managed to win the furry community, that could have tipped things.
That could have been dangerous. Yeah. That kind of direction would have gone pretty differently. Also, we didn't really talk about this. It's interesting that this movie is an insurrection on the Capitol. Just kind of it's January 6th, but if it was good, if everything went well and it was supposed to happen.
Maybe this will be a piece of evidence we can use in a later segment.
Maybe, yeah. President Snow is really into cats. All right, I think we got one or two more wheel spins here. A couple of them are kind of the same thing. But yeah, this was Snow did 9/11. Wade actually coined did 9/11. They get a 9/11 in this. Like they get a stupid like false flag kind of thing. Not that 9/11 was that, but that's what is explained to the people.
That's what the did 9/11 thing.
Yeah, exactly. But the way that it is explained in this movie is bizarre to me. Because they're set the scene. Everybody's coming to the Capitol. They're taking the children for something. I can't remember if we were ever explained that he was just going to keep them all, or if he was actually going to take the rest of the people afterwards.
I mean, it was so. The idea, as far as I understand it, is he was like telling like Capitol people who had to flee the war, like, you can come stay at my mansion, and then had the children brought up first. And as far as I understand it, his reasoning for this was just like pure cynical, like human shield tactics. Like, they would never kill a bunch of children just to get to me.
Yeah. Does this remind you of anything? Any other pop culture things, by the way? This finale of the villain lets everybody come to the Capitol, and then the thought to be hero. Let's just point out that she is a woman. The woman hero loses it and decides to nuke them all. Does it remind you of anything? The Game of Thrones again. What are we doing here?
We love doing Game of Thrones.
They love it. It's so weird. Like, did this happen ever? And that's what they keep referencing when they keep having this be the character move in the end.
What, that the woman leader decides to just kill a bunch of children?
That the president has let come into the mansion to protect them because they're losing the siege. Like, specifically all of that. If someone convinced me that, like, yeah, that was in this big fight in Babylon once, I'd be like, I guess that's why they keep doing it then. But
I'm sure there is some event like that has happened.
Yeah, because they so he's letting all the babies in. Like we said, this is when the evil refugee spies are going to go kill him, and then the plane of the Capitol flies by and drops gifts from the Capitol. Everybody, which,
gifts
like,
from the Capitol, yay!
Everybody that's bad guy or that's Capitol person, it's not bad guy because these are the people that are evacuating, are like, yay! What do they think it's going to be? Even if it's not bombs, what is it going to be? Those little water spouts things you can plug into a tree for water? Oh, cool. It's scissors. Yay. Thank you, President Snow.
That is interesting, right? Like, the sponsors love us.
Yeah. Like,
okay, I think they know it's not sponsors.
No, I know, but it's funny. Like, it's the same delivery mechanism, right? Like, that is interesting.
Or do they think, like, they're going to open it and it is just going to be a hand grenade and they're going to, we get to use this to defend the Capitol.
Yes.
Because we've only ever seen this been like medicine. To be fair, the medicine part of it is good. But
I was going to say, I think medicine would be useful in this situation.
Medicine would be pretty handy. But yeah, it turns out it's bombs. And then the bombs explode and kill a bunch of people. Not great. But then Prue and the medics run in to protect them, and then the bombs explode again, which was apparently the plan.
Yeah, in fact, earlier, again, DJ might not recognize this. It's a technique called foreshadowing.
How dare you?
Towards the very beginning of the movie, Gale and BT are talking about a weapon they've designed they're talking about a weapon. I forget if they've designed it, if they're talking about a capital weapon or something, but they're talking about it. And it's like a device that, like, sets off a bomb or something, explodes, and then leaves behind, like, a firebomb with a secondary explosion that triggers a little bit after the first explosion.
Oh, yeah, they did
to
say
kill
that.
anyone it draws in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a war crime machine. It's meant to kill people, like medics and people trying to help.
Now, in my head here, I'm like, I don't think they needed that second thing, right? Like, they had it in the bag.
I mean, probably just helps, right?
I mean, it helps to a degree, or it helps unless anyone figures it out. Then it's a really big liability.
That
Clearly.
true. Yeah.
But, like, if you were not even winning and, like, it's really hard, but, like, they had everybody surrounded, I'm sure it would have been, like, the way Coin would have said, it's like, oh, well, they would have taken more lives if we didn't turn their opinions against the Capitol. But I don't think it would in the scenario that we are presented with in the movie.
Well, I'm pretty sure at this point, like, Coin isn't trying to save the most lives. She's just trying to give herself the most legitimacy possible, and making the old regime seem as monstrous as possible is part of that.
Oh, for sure. Then the other part of that plan that I don't understand, if that happened, would you not just go, oh, I guess this was the guys? Like, the Capitol didn't drop bombs on us for fun it doesn't seem like it would make there's any value in them doing that. Just I guess they stole one of the planes. I don't know, man. I like some of the things that some of the characters in this movie believe seem pretty tough. Although maybe a good old conspiracy theorist would be like, well, you believe the Earth is round, so who's a real dummy in this
the idiot.
situation? Yeah. Oh boy. All right. So next, let's look at the next thing on the list, you guys. You guys remember that the wheel has a lot of stuff on it. Yeah.
You think I'm some kind of chump?
Many spokes on the wheel, of course.
And many spokes as you can. And like, this is where the spokes start spoken up big time. So we did Snow to 9/11, Coin to 9/11, some of that stuff. Let's talk about some more of it. Spun wheel again landed on one of Diggins's, and we've talked about before. Nothing says perfection like white. And this is something the bad guy says?
Well, yeah, that is true.
Who do you think the bad guy is?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, this is a real, actual line of dialogue spoken by President Snow late in the game in this movie. He means it about roses, but I think perhaps there are some subtle clues about some of his feelings on other subjects woven into
get the
that
fuck
statement.
Out. I don't believe you.
I buy it, but also I could also see this character just there's so little, like, this movie has so little engagement when it comes to race as a concept that I could buy this character, or like the writer were just like, that really likes color white for his roses. That's all they meant by it.
Yeah,
it was so literal, you wouldn't believe.
It really isn't a big part of this franchise, which is part of why maybe something we can include in our arguments in a later segment.
Yeah.
Oh.
But this is when she has her last conversation with President Snow after he's been captured and deposed
and left in atrium.
Yeah, his little greenhouse.
Instead of like a prison, he gets an atrium. So good for him, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, later Katniss goes to prison. That's a prison. So I don't know why.
That's a goddamn prison.
Maybe they hadn't built that yet that day, and they were working on it. I don't know. Maybe they were like, these are actually pretty nice flowers, and he's the only one that seems to know how to keep them alive. So
he actually just asked really nicely, and they were like, well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has her little conversation here, and here's where he reveals the truth that Coin, in fact, did 9/11.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Come
on. You gotta be kidding me.
Because all the stuff that Nando said a little bit ago about how it doesn't actually make any sense that Snow would do this, he points it out to Katniss. He's like, why would I just randomly kill a bunch of children and make everyone hate me? That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yep. Although I do think the way he makes that point, he said specifically, said a couple times, like, I'm not wasteful. Like, dude, you do fucking Hunger Games. Yes, you are. 100%.
Yeah, right?
You waste people's lives and everybody's time and all this bullshit. You maybe don't want to kill people you don't think you have to kill. And even that I wouldn't buy. But like, I'd honestly buy him saying more something like, I hate using those goddamn planes. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's right. He does hate the planes. But this ain't it, Mr. Snowman. As an explanation.
Well, this is, other than some facial acting in a later scene, this is pretty much Donald Sutherland's last scene. So why don't we make this a little retrospective on Donald Sutherland as long as we're here?
Oh, yeah, why not?
His character, Anus Snow or something. His name has anus in it. Yeah, there you go. Coriolanus. The protagonist of Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Mm-hmm. The hero, some would say.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is he's in it. What's her name from Shazam is in it. She's probably gonna die.
Viola Davis.
Take a wild guess. You know what? She could have been in Shazam. She could have been in a post-credit scene for Suicide Squad. I was thinking the what is her name? I always get her confused with another actor. I think it's Rachel Zegler. I think she's in it.
Yeah, Rachel
as the girlfriend.
Zegler.
But yeah, Viola Davis is also in it as a character that I have heard described, which means we're getting 2 of these this year as a Willy Wonka-esque character. And I believe she is the villain. I know. Lucky us.
Well, Would you say we're getting 2 of them this year? Because we're getting a Willy Wonka-esque character, and then we're getting Willy Wonka.
Oh, see, I was talking about Patrick Wilson, the return of Orm the Ocean Master in Patrick Wilson. I actually forgot about the Wonka movie.
Wow, you think we're still going to get Aquaman this year?
That's a great question.
That is.
They showed us a trailer and everything. There's 6 or 7 toys. It's
6 or 7.
There's
Get
enough
out.
that I'm like, that's more than 2. If there were 2, I'd be like, I don't think they're actually making this movie. But there were enough that I'm like, that's probably a few.
Yeah, like 6 or 7. Now we're cooking.
Including his little seahorse. So it's pretty good. But yeah, no, you're right. There is a Wonka-esque character and a Wonka character. Original recipe, baby. Although, wouldn't you say perhaps that the little Timothée Chalamet is doing perhaps a Wonka-esque character? That is a interpretation of a character that already exists. Maybe we'll feel like less of the original version and more of just a guy trying to do the original version. We'll find out soon. But yeah, so Corey Snow or whatever. What's his name? Cornelius Snow?
Coriolanus.
Yeah.
Sea Snow, as I call him.
What do we think of him?
I mean, are we talking about Donald Sutherland's performance or like the character?
Porque no los dos?
Yeah, I guess both.
He's bad, and everyone should be ashamed for, thinking he's not the worst.
Wow.
Because he seems
harsh
like the worst.
indictment of Donald Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the shoe fits. That's my take. Are you guys pro dictatorships? Are you guys like, yeah, he did a great job murdering all those children? Were you guys about that?
DJ, sometimes the people need a strong hand to guide them.
That's right.
They can't be trusted to choose for themselves.
And we'll find out maybe in a couple of weeks if he actually is secretly the hero of this whole thing, Mm-hmm. Like, maybe there's another guy who's like, I'll do 50 Hunger Games a year. And the only way you could stop me, President Snow, is if you become president and then do only one. I've looked into the future. I figured out this is the only way. Everyone's going to hate you, though. And then he drives off like Batman at the end of that movie. And he's like, I'm making this sacrifice for the city of Panem. As long as I kept stupid roses, it'll all be okay. What do you think the deal is? Is Rachel Zegler going to give him a rose or something at one point? And it's going to be like her whole deal. It's got to be it, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, she's going to be like a rose maker or something.
She a rose maker?
Rose maker,
How does she
yeah.
make her roses, Nando?
The cultivator of roses.
She like glues them together or something.
Let me be very clear, by the way. I thought Donald Sutherland was very good in this movie. I think it was the previous movie. He's like, I'm breaking my one rule. Never let them see you bleed. I thought he was like a good performance, right? And maybe it was his really good performance that I'm like, wow, this guy's a real piece of shit. So maybe it worked. He kills that one general for being incompetent. I will say, President Snow, as a dictator, all of his plans, not the best plans, right? Not the best plans.
I mean, you say that, DJ, but he's in power for 50 years before these movies?
Yeah, I think he kind of crushed it.
Up until this point.
Yeah, but look what it took to bring him down. You had to have this unbelievable, super lucky Katniss Hunger Games situation. And then your next game maker needed to secretly be undermining you the entire time. If the Hunger Games 2, the Quarter Quell, goes the way you kind of expect it would, and she dies in it because the smoke gets her or whatever, he's pretty much off the hook. And to be fair, only because he's such an old, kind of out of it man, is Plutarch able to trick him into doing all the stuff he probably wouldn't have done on his own.
Well, I feel like the biggest mistake is in the second movie, once you have PETA and Katniss going on their grand tour, you have to just have them be kidnapped and black-sighted instead, right? You invite them, hello, and then black bags over the head, that's it, they're never heard from again. That is like the proper way to do that, right?
Well, DJ, you do that, then everyone knows you had them killed, and then they get very upset about it. And, maybe a revolution happens anyway.
Yeah, I think if I'm President Snow, I think putting her in a Hunger Games immediately is a terrible idea. That's like the one way you can fuck this up. But I think you try to see if you could trick her into liking the Capitol for a little bit. Like send her to the Capitol and like feed her nice food and treat her family nice, and then she converts, and then you kind of like what's his name is saying is going to happen with the wedding and stuff, except like don't make her do a Hunger Games immediately. And I think you can make this work.
That is how you do it, right? Have her enjoy the trappings of like a better life, right? That's the way you get it done.
Yeah, like it's the Capitol is crazy. Like there's cat people running around doing not like that. Anybody who wants to be a cat person is crazy, but just like the Capitol compared to the District 12, it got to be night and day. However, if you as President Snow just isolated all the stuff that was cool, they're like, let's give her fucking a swimming pool and like a couple of I don't know, what's a cool thing that you would want in the Capitol, like fancy food and all kinds of bullshit technology and stuff, and just make her next 2 years of her life incredible. She's not going to do a rebellion. And, maybe he's too proud of a man for that, but I don't think the Quarter Quell plan was, like, we know that wasn't his idea.
Right.
And, like, I think a lot of the mistakes of movie 2 that end up getting him in trouble are mostly just Plutarch telling him what to do, and he's like 80, so he doesn't give a shit. So I kind of not want to say I respect it, but like I think he did pretty well until he just stopped caring, and then it kind of fell apart. And even then, he didn't do the 9/11 at everybody, so there's that.
Yeah. I can say one thing about President Snow, it's that he didn't do 9/11.
No, he was very he's just not wasteful, Besides all the food he wastes and stuff and all the resources and people's lives, he's not a wasteful man. He would never do something like that. And that time he bombed District 12 for no reason, just because he's mad at him. It's probably a waste of something, I would assume, besides lives.
I mean, they clearly needed like munitions and bombers at the end, right? Given the whole like District 2 debacle, so...
Well, yeah, and we'll get to that kind of, because this is coming up in the list, but there is a lot of other parts of the war that I'm like, I wonder how well he was doing at this part. Because you really don't see anything with planes or something, or any, aerial combat, but they've got him. Right. So, what was that all about, Maybe people were loving him so much in the Capitol, and that's why they believed he would drop them little presents during the evacuations, because that's what he does. Tuesday Day is President's Day, no matter what. And they were like, oh, man, that's pretty cool of him to do that. I don't need like a new portable speaker or whatever's in there this time, but I might as well grab it. And then, turns out, bad guy move.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's okay in this. I don't know. I don't really like him. I think he's fun. I like that Donald Sutherland is having fun. But as like an actual main villain of this system, he doesn't seem like he's particularly thought out, or like, he just kind of gave him like that little kind of be the Joker, We're going to give you some art to do in the background for one of the scenes, and you're going to act all, crazy some of the time. But I don't know.
Do you guys think that somehow Donald Sutherland will be in Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes?
Like maybe there'll be like a flash forward thing at the end or the beginning or something.
Or like his grandfather, like that looks just like Cornelius Snow does in these movies, like around that age. Gives him some warning. And or time travel, or the multiverse opens or some bullshit, right? That's how movies end these days, right?
Yeah, well, that Donald Sutherland comes back through a portal and it's like, here's what's eventually going to bring you down, so here's all the ways you can avoid it. And we actually end up in the timeline where he never loses, and the boot stomping on a human face forever is the timeline we get.
That's pretty cool for some people. Pretty sucks for others, but
whose rules for people wearing the boot?
Yeah,
less good for the people who are the human face.
That part, not so much. Or the cat face. Those people not as into it as you would expect. Honestly, like if I went to the Capitol,
listen, that one lady wasn't. I'm sure there are cat people in the Capitol who love it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if I went to the Capitol for a weekend and saw a cat person, I'd be like, man, they must really be into cats over here. I would never guess that that's what the president who's really into roses made them do out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I would just assume that, that's, and then like not even a sex thing. I just assume they love cats so much, kind of like Dennis's wife in the later seasons of Always Sunny, who just becomes a human cat eventually. But in this, it's like, no, it's the president sometimes sends you a letter that says you're a cat now. And you're like, no. Like,
is this
no
your
choice.
new greatest fear?
If the president sent me a letter, it was like, I'm a cat now.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Is this your new Roman Empire?
This is worse than, like, any other thing that a president has made an individual person do in a movie that I can think of. Like, I can't think of anything more weird to throw at you, where you can't, because you couldn't be like, you could be like, no, I'm going to leave forever and I'm going to District 10 to live in the woods or whatever. Like, you could do that, but it's also like, but you're in the Capitol, you have a nice little shop, like, probably have a pretty good life compared to most people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be a cat and you have to introduce yourself to everybody and go, what the fuck? No, I get it. No. The president said I have to be a cat for the next forever. So that's why I'm doing this. It would be so awkward. The only way it would be kind of bearable is if it happened a lot. If every couple of weeks there's a new cat person and you saw someone walking down the street, you go, oh, they got Tom. All right. Well,
maybe if it was like a hall monitor where it was like a rotating, like jury duty, like this week you have to be a cat person.
Oh, yeah. No problem with that. Like,
okay.
As long as I don't have to get permanent tattoos or anything, whatever. People have
just like a henna tattoo that maybe it's on you for like a couple of months past your like tour of duty, but otherwise, not too bad.
Oh my god, do you guys want to know something insane?
What?
This Tigress character, this cat lady, is in this movie 87 years old, and she is in the prequel movie that's coming up.
Oh, cool. Is she gonna be like
what? That's
like
awesome.
some little girl that skips down the thing, like the street next to the rose maker with her like beautiful pet cat and says something really ominous, like, oh, there's nothing more beautiful than a cat, I'll tell you what. If only someday a nice heroic president would make me into a cat, that would be all I could ask for.
Oh, man.
I don't know, maybe we'll find out soon.
How's she 87 years? I guess we do kind of find out that they have weird like health technology stuff.
But even for the people living in tunnels, she lives in a tunnel.
She doesn't live in a tunnel.
Like a sewer.
No, she doesn't. She has a shop.
Yeah, she has the fashion. That's why she's like, I assume this is like the, not Banksy, but like some sort of Emily in Paris character who was famous for being very attractive, and then Snow did this out of that reason. But yeah, like she's got a story. I mean, she has access to the sewer, I guess, but
I can remember the sequencing, but yeah,
no, they come up from the sewer.
Yeah,
they escaped like the subway station that they're at, where people are firing at them. And when they make it onto the streets, Cressida is like, "I know a place," and they go to Tigress's shop.
Yeah. Do you think, by the way? Wait, so in the new, you say she's in the new movie. I imagine she's not a Tigress person yet, because we learned that's something President Snow did to her while in power as the president.
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming not. No.
So if that's true, is her name Tigress and like before this whole thing took place?
It's a good question.
Did she like learn the President Snow was gonna punish her and just the whole time just anything but fucking cat? Oh, he's gonna do cat, isn't he? And then he came down with cat, and then I was like,
yeah,
man.
that's why Plutarch had to flee. He knew that if he stayed behind, President Snow would have turned him into some sort of bee person.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like a dog, like Pluto.
No, it's Plutarch Heaven's bee.
Oh, that's right. Well, it'd be worse people to be than a bee person,
Yeah, you could be Jerry Seinfeld.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's President Snow. Man, I just cannot believe that's what we're getting as the prequel. Any Hunger Games prequel you could possibly imagine, President Snow. Well, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Donald Sutherland is fine in these. But
yeah, he lends a sort of weightiness to the President Snow scenes that I think makes them work a lot better.
Yeah. And it's nice to see an old actor play kind of not older, but like older actor in that kind of, now he's more known for like those serious mentory roles, like playing a little goofball a little bit. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only movie I can think of, the most recent Donald Sutherland movie besides this, that I've seen is like The Italian Job, and he gets shot in the first like 20 minutes of that. But like, he's not, I wouldn't say he's known for his crazy characters these days, although I'm gonna Google this and immediately be proven incorrect.
I mean, he was in MASH.
Sure, yeah, and he was in like, see, this is what I'm kind of thinking about him, and like there's some of these that I haven't seen but I like have a sense for, like Moonfall, for example. I forgot he was in that. It was like the guy that was like, there's a secret moon shit going on.
Yeah,
he's the guy who was like, the moon is gonna fall.
Yeah, he was in what is this, Ad Astra, which I remember seeing. I don't remember what he did in it, but like a lot of the movies he's in are like, you know, where he is like some president or some wise old man who tells you something.
Guy.
Yeah, and he does a lot of movies that stink these days too, but so does everybody. That works as much as someone like him does. But yeah, like there's certain things in the early. You know what? He was in Beer Fest. That's not bad. That's kind of fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Seems like it was a smaller part. Like I can't quite remember it, but yeah, he's in like Pride and Prejudice and stuff like that. Like that's what I would expect an actor of his caliber, and like Cold Mountain and very, very serious movies. So yeah, I like that they got him for this, but didn't have him just do that. Oh, he's in Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. Hey, you guys ever watched that? The one with
I've
Ben
never
Affleck,
watched
but not.
Yeah, me neither.
I've heard it's very bad.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I believe it.
I watched it. It's the most I've ever spent in a Final Fantasy thing. I've never played any of the games. I kind of know some of the characters from like Super Smash Brothers and, you know, hearing about the Kingdom Hearts games, but as far as I know, it's mostly that, you know, and that's great. It's very good. We all liked it.
Sure is.
I spun the wheel again, landed on one of DJs. This one's just because Haymitch reads the script. Let's talk about that.
That was what Diggins is.
Oh, no, that is Diggins'. Yeah, you're right. Damn it. What is that in reference to, Diggins?
Well, this is after. Are you sure you don't have anything about the big scene between these two things?
What's that? Oh, yeah, I guess I kind of moved this. Is this Justice for Gale? Would this be when we would talk about that?
No. Well, I mean, maybe. DJ would want us to talk about that. You know, the big thing that happens at the end of this movie.
So I misinterpreted what you meant for Haymitch reads the script. I thought you meant the scene where they ask Haymitch a question. He goes, I don't know, I usually just do what Katniss does, so you could give her my vote or something. And
no, I talk about when he went on screen holding the script and read out a piece of it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, no, so that was not mine. Or that was not what I was expecting. So we can hold on to that for 1 second while we do hashtag Justice for Gale, which is one of DJs.
Yeah, no, look, I said it last time, and this could be brief, but I just will not understand, you know, maybe till the day I die, how she just did not go for that hot piece of ass Gale. It was the obvious choice. That she had one final chance, right? It's like Peeta's like, he's gone crazy, he's gone off the deep end. There's nothing left we could do. You got Gale there in the wings, ready to go, and she just ices him. And she's like, no, the only one is fucking Peeta, and I just do not understand it. I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. So I think it's bad decision making by Katniss.
Even though he was kind of indirectly responsible for the death of her sister.
Yeah,
I feel like I don't even blame him as much for that as I think the movie and fans seem to. Like I was kind of expecting it to be more direct than it was, but even though, given that all, I also think I'd understand if she's like, yeah, no, I hate you now. You're bad to me.
Also, that's malarkey. How on earth is he responsible?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, listen, I don't think she thinks he did it or anything, but she made the bombs that killed her sister, and she's like, and when she asks him about it, he admits that he might have. He doesn't know. And I think even just that much, considering everything she went through to keep her sister alive, even just knowing that much would be like, not that you hate him, but like, I can't see you again. Like, I can't live with seeing you and knowing that.
Yeah. I will say, based on what we know about Gale, I think he could be tricked. Like, I think he could build these bombs and stuff, and then at the end of the day, just not have a clue what they're going to do. He doesn't seem incredibly bright, but I guess he did at least kind of know. I don't know, like, did he not assume that if they were going to be used exactly the way it seems like they were used, it would end up killing the sister probably? Might never put that together.
I don't think you ever bank on that, but I'll say this. So,
I mean,
it's not like Gale dropped him on the sister. Things happen, right?
Sometimes you invent war crime bombs that kill your best friend / potential love interest sister. These things happen.
And
I will say, I just think it's kind of not fun. I don't know what the word is, but like all that work that they did to like keep Prim alive from like the whole premise of how the series kicks off, and it's like, yeah, she got war crimed to death. Sucks.
Yeah, it's annoying that this happens here. I really wish this happened between books 2 and 3 or something like this. I don't know what it would have had to been, but just I would have loved one like actual like not sacrifice, but like consequence of District 12 being bombed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the mom. She's the one who like survives this movie inexplicably for me. But or Gale could have gone too.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think I think Gale's helpful in this. He tries really hard to keep Peeta from dying the whole time, which is nice of him.
Yeah. Even though Peeta is like kind of a reason that they lose some men. They lose some good men. So
yeah, I mean, they're all right. They don't seem all that cool.
You heard it here first. Nando's like, take him or leave him.
I mean, I can't remember any of their names, so that's not a great sign. We talked about their names earlier today. I already forgot about them.
What about Castor and Pollock, your favorites?
Well, I didn't get those two killed. I remember them.
One of them.
Well, he didn't get Pollock killed, right? Like, that's way earlier, or that's way later in the whole thing.
Yeah,
he got fair. Some goon killed whose name we couldn't even be bothered
to learn. Some fucking guy.
Yeah.
It was one of the people whose names we can't remember. It's the one you're talking about, the guy who threw into the goo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just some rando. One of the guys whose name we can't remember.
Was it Boggs' number 2? Was it that guy?
No, because that's, first of all, that was a lady.
Yeah, and she makes it.
Well, she makes it to the sewer. She dies in the sewers.
Yes, that's right. Poor Boggs. Stupid fucking traps. This whole thing's
I changed the name of my wheel trunk to Justice for Boggs. How could they kill Boggs? They had a treasure on their hand. They didn't even know it.
Yeah, they really did. Like, it is wild how he dies in this movie because, and I guess like another character has the accidentally steps on a mine thing, but like, why give him the little map of where the little traps are at all? Why bother? What's the point of that?
Mahershala Ali goes from dying in this movie to like 2 years later winning the Academy Award for supporting actor. It's crazy.
And then like 2 years later doing Alita Battle Angel. Remember that? He's pretty coul.
Career's really a sine wave, huh?
Yeah, it's all over the place. But now he's whispering things to Jon Snow, so he's back on top, baby. He's in a movie that will never be finished. Yeah. Because he's got
winning an Academy Award, let's be real here, is a lesser goal to having a minor role in an MCU movie that you'll never know if you'll actually ever reprise ever again.
100%.
One of them comes with a lot of money. Imagine what his quote is.
It's probably awesome. He probably got such a good quote. Remember when he was in Green Book? Still haven't seen that. Is it any good?
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty bad movie.
That's what I've heard.
But it won Best Picture. It was the best one.
It did.
I guess there's no arguing with that.
Hey, I forgot he used to be in the House of Cards show with what's his name? Good old uncanceled. Kevin
good
Spacey.
Old Oxford speechman.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he's it's so weird that Mahershala is the main character, like not the main character, but a side character in these that the movies don't really have any interest in doing anything with. He's a good actor.
I mean, he is the first person to suggest, hey, Katniss, watch out. Coin might be a bad person instead of a good person.
Well, yeah, so like let's talk about that since we're pretty much there in the wheel. What's the deal with the Coin? What do you guys think the Coin thing? She wants to do a Hunger Games.
Yeah, which like I don't know what this was. It is so weird. She just pivots to like, I think I'm evil now. Even her answer of like, Hamish is like, when are we gonna have an election? She's like, I'm interim president. He's like, how long is interim? She's like, we'll see. Just lie. Say like, oh, a year, 6 months. You know.
Yeah, interim time. How didn't we plan for this? Did we never have a talk about what happens when one of us wins? One of us gets to be president for a little bit to sort it out. We're doing that.
Well, she's already President Coin. Was she elected by District 13?
Yeah, she's got to be one of those kind of like maybe not elected by every single person, but I would assume like all the generals got together and picked her.
I'm actually not sure. I feel like there must be an answer for this somewhere, but I don't know.
I mean, there's no way she was... Well, I guess they could have done an election. They seem like they kind of got it together. But like... Yeah, it's got to be something like that. But she's...
But the pivot to evil just makes no sense.
It makes
like,
sense
it's
if you
not
think
it's
about
not
it.
a pivot is the thing, DJ. That's the whole point. It's that she was evil the whole time.
But there's nothing to indicate in the prior movie that that's the case. Nothing. And even early in this movie, there's nothing. Like, just her and Plutarch just kind of, go. She's like, and when we win, we will kill the capital dogs. And it's like, whoa, like nothing.
Yeah, it is. It just, even... Because I don't think my problem with her is that she's, like, she just doesn't really have any strong character traits in general in the first movie that she's in. So when we get to having her do anything really big like this, it's like, feels like a lot.
Well,
nowhere.
This is partially a problem of, I don't know if you guys know this, but these two movies used to be one single story.
I couldn't believe that. What's she like in that one? She cool? Or like interesting or have stuff to do?
I do feel like she doesn't show up until this book in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't exist until book 3. And I do feel like that does make it a little weird to have her be such a pivotal figure in the ending, because we don't have nearly as much time with her as we do with all the other major characters. That being said, I think so Katniss doesn't really like her that much from the beginning, and I think that sort of suspicion and like dislike when you're reading through Katniss's narration comes through a lot clearer. And so the idea of her being up to something, I think, is seeded a little better in the book than it is in these movies.
That makes sense. And like, we do get a couple of times where she isn't quite on Coin's side in the first, or in number 3, but yeah, it just does not feel. It doesn't feel like enough of it is justified, and like it just doesn't feel like. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it's like this would be what you would have Plutarch do or something. Or
for me, I mean, this is young adult fiction at the end of the day, so. This is true of a lot of things. I read her as more of like an archetype than like a fully independent character. And so like as the archetype of the person in the revolution who just wants to seize power, like that is like so real and a thing that happens a lot in real life that I don't mind it happening here too much. I understand what you guys are saying about it not feeling like super well motivated within the story. And I don't think you're wrong about that. I just, for my part, like, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I agree she feels more like a plot device than a person, but for me, the plot device, I'm like, I get it. I get why it's there, and I kind of like it, so I don't mind it too much.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So, okay, So once Katniss realizes she's evil, she's like, I'm going to vote yes for the Hunger Games. Mm-hmm. So Coin thinks I'm on her side.
Yep.
And then there's the public execution in the Square of Snow, and then she's behind her, and Katniss is like, all right, this is a great opportunity for me to kill Coin. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck was that her idea? Because that seems horrible.
Because she doesn't want there to be a dictator again, so she's like, I'm going to kill a person who wants to be a dictator.
Okay, but, like, from the outside perspective, you see Katniss kill Coin, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, now what? Like, that would just lead to pure chaos, right?
I mean, it kind of does. I feel like to do that, there would have to be some sort of, like, understanding between her and Finnick or one of the other guys who's going to be like, no, you're going to explain it. You're going to tell the story to all the guys once I go to jail for
I feel like
immediate regicide.
I mean, they did it. Well, it's not regicide. She's not a kid.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I feel like her and Haymitch kind of had that understanding because Haymitch also votes yes because he looks at Katniss and can see that she's planning something like that.
Yeah,
but he doesn't know the plan. Like,
he doesn't know exactly what she's going to do, but they share a look that's like, we're not actually going to stand for this, right?
Yeah, and then let's murder Coin. Is like that what the look was? It's like, yeah, just put an arrow right through that bitch's heart.
Yeah, maybe that was like, he was like watching her shoot the arrow and he was like, oh, I thought this was just like, we were going to protest the Hunger Games when they put it on. I did not realize it was going to be this.
Potentially, but also, I will say from Katniss's end of things, I think a bit of a suicidal ideation might be part of this, considering she fully intended to poison herself and die afterwards.
She does do that a lot.
I mean, only the 2 times.
Sure. I guess the electricity arrow trick doesn't seem like a trick you're going to make it out of unless you get the timing super right. But yeah, she's just very like, I mean, she got shot that one time earlier today. And you know what? Speaking of suicidal, because she has that moment where she, gets the guy closer with the gun. She's like, do it. Whatever. Fuck it. I don't remember exactly what she says, but she has one of those speeches. And like, this really has been her arc the whole time. And
it's very Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. Doesn't care about her life.
The question is, does she want to die?
And they made a show about that, Cowboy Bebop.
You mean like a real show instead of anime trash?
Yeah, exactly. Like for real adult people.
Wow, incredible. It must be so good.
You know what? It got the most views, and that's why they immediately canceled it and didn't make a second season. So,
because they're like, we'll never top this.
Exactly. It's like Red Notice, this, and then a lot of trash underneath that. They said to themselves with a boardroom full of, I don't even know what's in that boardroom these days.
Just Don Cheadle from the Space Jam movie.
Yeah,
he's the only one left.
Yeah, I feel like the snow thing just feels so. It feels a little bit like, because I do think this is an interesting movie as a like, what do you do? What do you do as a rebellion? How do you do a rebellion? And as this last beat of like, and then kill the next guy if you don't like them either, as opposed to some sort. It doesn't. I don't know. There's something about it. I don't think it needs to be hopeful necessarily, but you do come away from this with a little bit of a thought of like, these movies just really don't like politicians, do they? Like, or that is what, they have murdered both of the main 2 that have ever existed in Hunger Games verse.
I don't know. I kind of appreciate the K.A. Applegate Animorphs move of making the ending really bleak and depressing, because you're like, yeah, what? You thought like a war was going to end well? Get real.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I spun the wheel ended on one of DJ's ones from earlier, but we'll put it in here. We can't afford to shoot the cool scenes. Maybe we'll talk about the war.
And
they couldn't afford to shoot them.
What? That's what it feels like?
Yeah.
Now, what cool scenes specifically do you think they couldn't afford to shoot, DJ? I want a catalog here.
All right. The quote unquote siege. I know it's not a true siege, but the bombing of like the mountain pass in District 2. Like, show us some of that carnage, right? Show us what's going on there.
DJ's like, I want to see the bodies of those Capitol dogs.
You goddamn right. Number 2, the Vanguard taking on the Capitol. By the time Katniss and the Propo team are there, it's like an abandoned Capitol. It just looks like ruins. Like, show us that. Like the front lines, like going in. That's like the cool shit I want to see.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. I think seeing more of that the Capitol storming would be cool. And I think you could get something. Like, I think there's value in it, in seeing like the idea, like seeing some of these other traps going off and like liquefying people with whatever bullshit they made. Just like Mahershala like, giving us a big video of like, this has been horrible. People keep setting off these things left and right. You want to see what they did? So brutal. And then on the other side, I think it'd be kind of helpful to see how the people of Panem react to this siege. Like, are the people in the Capitol all surrendering? Are they fighting against them? Like, we never really get a sense, besides from Tigris, of how people in the Capitol feel about this, which seems like a weird way to make a movie. That's all, not like a weird way to make a movie, but it is weird in this movie about like different perspectives on war and stuff like that. Never really got a sense for this one.
Yeah. And then finally, the actual storming of the Capitol Mansion. That would be number 3 for me.
Now, DJ, I have a counter argument prepared for you.
Okay.
So in The Hobbit, the book, there is a big event near the end called the Battle of Five Armies.
Right.
Where everyone, like all the people from throughout the book until this point, are getting together with a bunch of armies, and they're going to have a big fight to determine what happens with the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And right as that battle's about to get started, a rock hits Bilbo in the head and he passes out, and then he just wakes up and the battle's over.
All right, fair enough.
No, DJ, I haven't finished my point yet.
Oh, okay.
Now, in the movie of The Hobbit, which you might recall is 3 movies.
Yeah.
That does eventually happen, but only after the battle's basically over anyway.
Yeah, we get to see Legolas do Super Mario brick jumps and stuff like that.
Yeah, we get to see everything we would have missed. All the big fights, Legolas doing Mario stuff, and the resolution of the incredibly good love triangle that everyone liked.
Yep.
All of it's there. Death scenes, it's great. And it's one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
So I guess my point is
the people to make us watch this next week or something.
I guess what I'm saying is be careful what you wish for.
All right, I'll take that.
Yeah. It is interesting how much of this movie is a war movie and how much we don't actually see the war, but we see we see a character come in and go, wow, you guys missed a huge war just now. So anyway, what are we
also,
do?
I will say, Nando, making us do the Hobbit movies is probably one of the biggest ways our audience could make me suffer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Truly bad.
We've never done them too.
Yeah, because they never made a Lord of the Rings show that anybody watched, so there was no reason to do them as a lead up to anything.
Facts.
I watched that show and it's fine.
I've heard lots of different things. And you know what? Maybe it'll come up one of these days. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, not allowed to shoot the cool scenes. Someone brought this up too, as I was thinking about this, that District 13, I believe this came up in the Discord, is also the nuclear powered district. They have a nuke. Is that right?
I don't know if they have literally a nuclear missile.
Right, yeah.
They are the nuclear power district, so I think they have a reactor.
That's crazy. They're crushing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they got nuclear reactor district and war district. What were you thinking, President Snow? Like, that may have been the biggest fumble of the whole movie.
Yeah,
making those two the same one. And I guess it makes sense because they are kind of like in a silo a little bit.
Yeah.
Much like the show Silo. I spun them again, landed on another one which we had already done before. Haymitch reads the script. So how about that? The Plutarch resolution off screen and stuff.
So as Katniss is in prison for doing a big murder, Haymitch comes to visit her, and Katniss is like, "Do you have a big inspiring speech for me about what I did that you're going to tell me right now?" And Haymitch says, "Well, actually, they wrote it so that Philip Seymour Hoffman would do that, but he died, so I have the script right here in my hands, and I'm just going to read his speech to you."
Yeah.
Which is
I mean, what choice do they have, right? They didn't have, like, the deep fake technology. I wonder if this was made today, if they would just deep fake it.
I hope not. But, no, I get it. Like, it's not like the filmmakers just made this choice for no reason. But it's really funny, because he literally comes in with a letter from Plutarch. Like, hey, here's the speech he was supposed to give to you right now.
Yeah, like, I feel like, I don't know, would it be better to just kind of do what this isn't exactly what they did with Leia, but just have them die as a result of the thing, and just have another character do that instead at the end? Like,
no, I think this is fine. I mean, they do justify it, because in the letter, they add to the script where he's like, "I'm a very important political figure, so I can't be seen to be visiting Coyd's assassin the night that it happened."
Yeah, it's fair. Although, it does seem like part of the rules of this is you just get to go visit the assassin or, like, visit the bad guy. Because they do have that bit where, Katniss just goes and visits President Snow after she deposes him. Might as well. That should be a rule. If you get to depose somebody, get a little meet and greet so they can tell you it's actually the other guy's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. But President Snow, man, that guy stunk. Plutarch, he got a smooth little face at the end of this. So he did one shot of his actual face. It's one of the first ones of these I think we got in, like, movies, where they recreated a person who had died with footage and stuff, so that they could smile at the camera. A little weird.
Yeah.
They've done worse. Almost every year since then, they've had some version of it that's much worse. But I don't remember. Was there a big outcry at the time? Were people angry about this?
I have no idea.
About what?
Philip Seymour Hoffman being, like, deep faked into that one shot that he's in.
I don't think so.
I don't think it was that big a deal, right?
I mean, it wasn't. But what if it was?
Well, the thing is, it's not a deep fake. It's footage from another movie he was in that they sort of just, like, made look like it fit and spliced in.
It wasn't Charlie Wilson's war, was it?
Yes, it was. How'd you know?
That would have been insane. Yeah. That'd be crazy. Like, what happened to Plutarch the last couple of days? It's big mustache, and he rolls up all his sleeves now. Yeah. It's a, yeah, it's tough. It's tough with these, because this does happen quite a lot, actually. Like, looking at Princess Leia and, like, the Star Wars movies and stuff. If you set to make a big, long trilogy of a bazillion movies, and so an actor dies, I feel like, I don't think movie studios need to have contingency plans or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the future there's a new kind of thing drawn up, and not even in the contract, but just where they go, like, listen, you want this character to keep going, you want them to be recast or not recast, as, like, a discussion with the actors. But it would have been wild if they recast him for this one scene. They just had another guy come in and be like, "Hi, it's me, Plutarch. Paul Giamatti now." Quick, let me get in this rhino suit. Just kidding. You guys, one more thing on the wheel.
Yeah.
Smooth faces. Let's talk about some smooth faces in that finale, boy. You've ever seen, it's like butter just lapped on old man Peeta and old lady Katniss. By old, I mean, like, I don't know, 30. But
right.
They did the Harry Potter thing where they showed us what they would look like as older people.
I mean, did they?
I don't know. I couldn't. This effect is very weird to me. Because usually you just draw some eyebrows on, or, like, eye lines on them and make them look a little older. But in this one, it seems like they used the technology to simulate what they would look like as older. And time has passed, so we know it's not that. But, like, it's a very weird way to go about that.
Well, they sort of So they actually filmed this a year later from everything else. So they actually are a little older.
I believe that, but I also think they did some stuff to it. I don't know. Did you guys not get that sense?
I did not. It seemed almost imperceptible, the passage of time. I also, like, I have no idea, like, enough time passed for them to have 2 kids, but, like, I'm still not convinced that Panem's not totally fucked.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, they're living in the woods. Like, they're, I mean, I don't know what they are. Do you think the people in District 12 love them so much? Like,
I mean, are there even districts anymore? Like, I don't know.
There might not be, like, strictly regimented, you can't travel between them districts, but the physical locations where those districts were still exist.
Yeah.
Except the ones that were bombed into oblivion.
Except that one, yeah. Except the 4 or 5 that no longer exist.
Well, actually, that is where Katniss and Peeta are. They are in a being repopulated District 12.
But yeah, do you think the people of the woods are, like, gotta watch out for them? Or, like, are they, like... I've heard the rumor that the person who assassinated the president the other day lives in the woods, and we are all just nice to her. I don't know. Yeah. I imagine Plutarch probably, you know, made everybody cool with them after a little while.
That's the implication, I think, that because they get a letter from Annie about how things are going down. It seems like, you know, they're not in the capital, they're not movers and shakers, but they're allowed to just live their lives.
I'm just not convinced that there weren't coin loyalists who were like, they started their own rebellion, probably made like a civil war. Like,
oh yeah, no, District 13 is going to nuke the capital next. Like, there's no way they're just going to go. I guess Katniss knew what she was doing. Well, how about that? I thought we were all cool and we had a good leader that we voted for, and it turns out she was a warlord too. How do we know? They told us. She said they wanted to do another Hunger Games, and then they said the old president told us that she was bad. And we just took it
9/11
at his word for it. Yeah. Like, and it would be a nightmare living in the capital after that. Especially, man, yeah, District 13 would be pissed. Because first Boggs dies, and I'm assuming everybody loves him because he's cool and great. And he probably did some amazing heroics to be, you know, level 1, whatever he is. Plutarch, we know, is not from District 13, right? He's from the capital.
Correct.
Right. So then Plutarch brings in Effie, Haymitch, Katniss, and a couple of other tributes and District 12ers. They bring President Coin up. President Coin gets in charge. And then, like, the next day, with no warning, she one of those people that we mentioned kills the President Coin. And then Plutarch, that guy that showed up, you know, a year ago, goes on TV and says, actually, it doesn't count. And we should let me or someone else be in charge now, that I could still stay pretty close to in charge. People be furious.
He is not the one in charge, to be clear.
Right, yeah, it's the District 5 woman, is that right? I can't remember the name of these characters.
One woman, her name's Paler.
Yeah. But yeah, like there would be so many conspiracy theories about what happened. It would be a nightmare. But I don't know. Maybe they just go, whatever. Katniss seems to be right about this stuff. Because Coin sucked.
Really just like, I don't really want to do a big war again. So
yeah, it's so much work, so much business.
Right, and maybe everybody did hate Coin, and they were just like, glad somebody said it, firing an arrow into her heart. Like, would have been me if I had enough bows and arrows, but yeah, I never got the shot myself. But
or if I could shoot like the length of 3 football fields, an arrow right into a lady's heart, like, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to shoot an arrow like that. Maybe other characters off screen have been trying this the whole movie, and they've just been missing so far that it never made it onto the camera. But this,
I would have loved.
Yeah. You know how they did those remasters of The Wire where you can see more of the shot than they intended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're gonna do one of those on Hunger Games eventually. You can see all the arrows just like falling around Coin in all of her scenes. People trying to.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I would have loved to see a scene where Beetee goes to Katniss. Now, Katniss, I've given you a new kind of arrow. This arrow is the tracking arrow. If you use this and point at your target, it will track to them from over 1,000 yards away.
Yeah.
But use carefully because it could hit a wrong person if you aim incorrectly.
This
Wow, Jeffrey Wright is here?
Wow, Jeffrey Wright. The Watcher's own. Hey, The Watcher, what are you watching in that show? If Loki's pruning all the timelines, what do you have? Other timelines?
I just have a whole other. What if is kind of its own other thing?
Apparently. Yeah, man. The Watcher. They have so many characters all doing the same thing, and in the end of it, every single character is like, I guess I'm the only person that could possibly be doing this now because it's all closed off from the other ones. I don't know. They got to check in with each other. Like, did he know about Kang and the TVA?
Oh, that's a good question.
Jeffrey Wright, you're going to be in the next one of these, I assume. Eventually. Are you ever going to be in live action with like a big giant head? Please. Please, please, please.
Oh, no, my prime line, my timeline is being pruned. I must,
no.
Oh.
Wow.
That's a bummer. Too bad Jeffrey Wright got sucked into a pruned timeline.
Yeah, so I guess Kang got him. So that is the rock, paper, scissors of which multiversal whatever guys are in charge of the other ones.
Kang's getting everyone.
He's crushing it this week. And listen, it's eventually it's going to be Deadpool on top or some bullshit. So whatever. None of it matters until they decide what any of it is anyway. So, maybe they could sort out that actor strike and then they could maybe make some of these movies. Until then, we all just have to spin our wheels. Lucky us. Speaking of
spinning our wheels.
Yeah. Speaking of pruning, one other thing. I like the scene with the cat. The cat's great. They're very pretty.
Cat yells at the cat.
Mm-hmm.
She threw something at the cat. She could have hurt the cat.
I know.
She has pinpoint precision aim.
That's the thing. That's how you know she didn't want to kill the cat. It's because she
would
have hit it.
To say, yeah.
And also, this cat's like, "What? You mean business? Fucking throw it at me then." Because even after she throws it at the cat's like, "Nah, you aren't gonna hit me. It's fine." It's a very, very pretty cat.
That's great.
All right, I found the scene. Her face looks really weird in this, and it's not that her face looks weird. Here's my problem with the kind of flash forward scene.
Yeah,
it seems like what it seems like to me is like Carrie Fisher in Rogue One, where the face doesn't move enough for it to look like it's moving, but doesn't look quite wrong either. But it looks like they've touched something with it, and this stare at the end where she's just staring at PETA playing with the other kid is so little is happening emotionally for this character that your brain is like, well, that can't be real. Like,
right.
That's something they added in post because the actor didn't want to do it. It just, I don't think maybe if this wasn't such a thing that was so common, that would be where I would go with it. But it's quite a strange look.
Do you know who those two babies are?
It's Donald Sutherland.
That's right.
On his hands and knees did mocap for one of the babies.
Exactly.
He's going to be the next one. This is the bad guy. He's the Kylo Ren of this universe.
I figured it all out, Nando. I can't believe it.
Who are those babies? Who's the weirdest possible babies it could be?
It's not that weird.
I'm thinking of some weird ones, though. This is Northwest. Is that who was it? Were they happening yet? I don't know. Who did they?
So.
Did they have these? One of them actually have children in real life? I don't know which one.
They're Jennifer Lawrence's nephews.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess she probably wasn't. She probably didn't have any kids by this point in her career.
Still in her early 20s at the time.
Yeah,
yeah. Wouldn't be crazy if that was the case. But yeah, tracking kind of where I think she, like how her life goes. I don't think like these all happened before like X-Men, Apocalypse, and I think it's one of those was the one that they had to like kind of write her out of because she was pregnant or something like that. And because she didn't want to do them anymore, and they were mostly bad. I can't remember what the story is, but like that's the only ones I can remember. And you never know with Josh Hutcherson. He could have been popping out kids left and right.
The Hutch,
baby.
They don't call him the Hutch for nothing.
Wait, hold on.
You heard me.
I did hear you. I request you to explain.
They don't call him the Hutch for nothing.
Yeah,
because. Why do they call him the Hutch?
The hutches are where rabbits live, and rabbits have lots of babies.
Thank you, Nando.
That's a thing, right?
I'm glad you explained it in a way that these plebes can understand.
Yeah. It's the Hutch is he married? Is he single? What's his story? We should know this by now, right? This is what day 25.
If he's single, he won't be single for long when that Five Nights at Freddy's movie comes out.
That's true. I hear people are getting in fist fights at the movie theater. It's always a good sign.
Yeah, it's because they're fighting over who gets to kiss Jack Hutcherson.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in some sort of romance or something with some person. I don't know. It's this website, which is one of those websites. It's definitely mostly written by AI. So like the sentences don't quite sound right, but he's had quite a few, Hollywood romances and such. Vanessa Hudgens, remember her?
I do remember her.
But yeah, apparently Claudia Trisac, Traisac, is his long-term girlfriend of 10 years. So they've been together since 2013, yeah. And it's unclear. I don't think they're currently married, but I feel like I saw that they might be secretly married or something. I don't know. I'll ask him next time I see him.
Yeah, next time we're hanging out.
And you guys bump into Josh. I'll ask just real quick. Just to make it one of those things you kind of throw into a sentence, like, hey, so how was that secret wedding you had your wife? And if he asks you a question, just be like, what? You're crazy. I wasn't talking about that. Yeah, those are the Hunger Games. Overall, it seems like we mostly like these.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all we all liked the first two. No reservations.
Yes, 100%.
You and I liked the last one. Like Mockingjay Part 1.
I did not, yeah.
I was talking about Nando. And then
no, I know, I'm saying I did not, yeah.
And then I kind of like this one. So I'd say, on average, that's quite positive overall.
That is not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's way better than I expected. I had such low thoughts going into this. And
this series really does hold up a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah. All the actors in it are good. It's got a lot of stuff to say that's kind of interesting. Even when it's not the most, groundbreaking thing ever. It's all of it's done pretty well. And like we said, there's all kinds of weird stars in the middle of it to keep you interested. If you get a little bored, wait a little bit and, Mahershala Ali shows up. But yeah, I think I would say my guess is I do think the ending was somewhat divisive. I don't think it was incredibly.
I believe that is true.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of fans, especially fans of it, who are on like the pro Gale side or something up until this point, felt somewhat betrayed. I remember a sentiment of that, which I would understand. But then on top of that, I do think this franchise was so buried by the really bad, and not to be bad, because maybe we'll do Allegiant next and everybody will love them. But like all those Divergent kind of, imitators. Yeah, that it kind of made you forget how good the original was, because you just assume they're all like this. But it makes sense. You have at least one good one to start the whole trend. And yeah, it's quite good. Speaking of good things, do you guys want to get to our classic segment?
Well, first, we have another classic segment that the people roasted us for forgetting last week.
That's a good point.
That's right.
And yeah, the question of is it woke? I think we've determined this movie is very not woke.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it can't be.
Way too much there's oppression, right?
I thought I was going to have to argue this point.
No, because I think the more time I've spent with it, the more this like good old, like salt of the earth person from Appalachia goes and overthrows the vaguely, homosexually coded government or whatever, on top of all of the other stuff with, man, just how hard it is. The series' overall lack of interest in race, while at the same time killing almost every black character as quickly as it possibly can. Besides the eventual president of the Hunger Games, no important characters of color make it through this movie. And even the eventual president, like, kind of, she's in a couple scenes, but she's not a huge player.
BT makes it. BT does not die.
I keep forgetting he's in this because as we know, he's the Watcher.
Well, not anymore. Now he got pruned, and I guess he's gone.
That's true. He is dead from the timeline or just something. But yeah, you're right. He does survive. But yeah, so there's that. There's the and then the fact that they kill the character that I don't want to say is quite the Hillary Clinton stand-in, but that is like a kind of last move of like, we got to get all the politicians are bad. It makes me feel like it's very not woke.
I would say my slight modification of this argument is I don't think it's anti-woke, but I think there's enough in there for an anti-wokester to cling onto to make the argument that it's not woke.
Yeah, 100%. Besides the idea of not liking it when there's tyranny and stuff, I can't imagine what the woke, and I guess the, woman main character thing, but what the argument for the woke Hunger Games would be.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it'll be this next one. I bet that'll be what the line on Songbirds and Snakes. This is what it is with woke Hunger Games.
They made it woke.
The only one for this one is they kill all the dictators. I guess that's woke. It's like the only thing in this one, right? They have an election. That's woke.
They think elections are good. That's pretty woke.
That's woke. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are just tidbits. Like, overall, I agree. It's not woke.
I mean, the fact that this franchise ends with like these two, Katniss and Peeta, having a little picnic in the nice idyllic pastures with the two whitest children you've ever seen in your whole goddamn lives. Like, that little boy that's sitting with Peeta is just the curliest, bounciest blonde hair. I cannot imagine a less clearly woke way to end a movie like this. But, we'll find out what the next one's like.
Yeah, I can't wait. But, by the way, real quick, guys, speaking of woke, do you know what? I guess this could have been in the news segment. Do you know what went really woke this week?
What?
UFC.
Oh, what did they do?
Their official beer sponsor, Bud Light.
Wow, how dare they?
It's over.
It's over.
Go woke, go broke.
So what are like Joe Rogan and them doing about it?
I don't know. There must be so much internal conflict. They probably don't know what to do.
They're probably like, fuck it, we get money, yay. They don't care about any of this.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they still mad about Bud Light, or have they quietly shelved that now that it's not that big a deal? Now that like nobody's talking about it anymore? They're like,
no idea.
I feel like a guy like a Matt Gaetz or something every so often will like dust out that old like, oh, this goddamn Bud Light and like, shoot it with a shotgun in his backyard. But besides that, I don't think there's anybody that's really that excited about it.
Okay.
It's pretty, but I mean, apparently now it is.
If I see one Bud Light in the next Hunger Games movie, instant woke. That's it.
That's true.
I would love that level of sponsorship in a Hunger Games movie, like they're at the Capitol. I love my ice cold Bud Light.
Oh yeah. That'd be like those SNL sketches that are sponsored and that part of the goal of the sketch is to make the company look bad.
I was going to say like that 30 Rock episode that was sponsored by McFlurry's.
Yes, exactly. It's such a shame that these don't take place in our current world and we can't put real sponsors on them. It'd be like if they fucking put real sponsors in the fucking the real life Squid Game they're doing on Netflix. The one that's a game show. Yeah. It's like, man, I would love to see what companies would be like. I think we're just clever enough that if we do it, people will think we're in on the joke, versus which companies would be like, oh, yes, a highly performing Netflix show with metrics X, Y, and Z. Put a big old Affleck statue right in the middle of it, please. Like, I'd love it. Make it so happy. That could be the duck, could be the thing instead of the big giant, little girl that shoots lasers at you or whatever when you don't do hide and go seek well enough. Yeah. I saw a trailer for that this week. They really made that. Like, they fully made that show. It looks horrible.
It's not even like it's the idea of Squid Game, but, we did our own thing. It's just the Squid Game set and the Squid Game games.
Yep. Did you think that was, now that I think about it, is the line, Nothing says perfection like White, right up there with 69. That's the best number I've ever heard of. That's that guy. Somebody's writing one line in all these movie scripts, and he is doing the Lord's work. But yeah,
I miss you, billionaire who loves 69.
I mean, maybe he'll get back. Maybe they'll be real billionaires. Maybe they'll invite Bill Gates and they'll go watch the Hunger Games. I don't know.
You mean the Squid Games?
Or the Squid Games, right. Do you guys want to get to our classic segment, by the way?
Yeah.
Let's recommend some things to the fine people. DJ, you go first. What do you got to recommend?
You know, Nando, I had something to recommend, and then we did a whole podcast, and then I must have... No, I got it. I'm so good at this. Guys, it's that time of year. Tradition like no other. Fall comes around. Leaves start changing color depending on where you live. But if you live up here in the northeast part of America, they're changing.
Yep, temperature shoots back up to 80 degrees out of nowhere. Classic winter.
And you know what that means, guys?
Yeah.
Fucking
pumpkin spice lattes.
Ooh, yeah.
Those are about to be shoveled into the sun. Great British Baking Show's back, everyone.
Oh,
it's back. So back. Love it. We're 4 weeks in.
Is that a fall phenomenon?
It comes out every fall.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, yeah. It's a fall tradition for me. I love it. But yeah, Great British Baking Show's back. You know us. Me and Nando, we can't stop recommending British television shows.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because they hate America.
Yeah. That's good
true.
about them.
But I think I mentioned this before, but it's a great show. They get 12 bakers, all amateur bakers, like home bakers, not professionals. They have other jobs. This is their like side hustle or like hobby, not even a hustle. And they have different challenges every week. There's a signature, a technical, and a showstopper, and every week has a theme. This past one was Chocolate Week, which I thought was really good. I had some like creative challenges. They had to make like for the showstopper a chocolate box, and inside had to be a cake and little like chocolate treats that you had to eat.
Ooh.
And then the signature was a chocolate tort. And sometimes it's simple, but sometimes they really mess it up. And there's some great characters. It's all about the characters, right? You have to get a good crop to really make it work. I think they got a really good crop. I love Maddie. Maddie's my personal favorite. They always have one broy guy on, and usually the broy guy goes out in like week 1 or 2. But right now, Maddie is killing it. Spoiler for episode 4, but he won Star Baker for episode 4, and I'm like, this guy is ascending. So they might have like a bro. They always come in, they say bruv. Hey, how's it going, bruv? And that's always like they give one of those, and usually they're awful. But no, Maddie's like got it. So I'm a huge Maddie supporter. I'm all about Maddie.
I love it. They're gonna like Officer and a Gentleman, or not Officer and a Gentleman. What's the way? Is that the one that is? Where like by the end he'll be a prim and proper cakesman, like the rest of them all are. Give him a whole Kingsman
treatment.
Thinking
of My Fair Lady.
That's what I'm thinking of. My Fair Lady. Yep.
Gentleman,
lady, you know. Yeah. I don't know what Officer and a Gentleman is. Maybe it's one of those movies that's kind of My Fair Lady, but different. Probably
is it like
not,
Master and Commander? Like
no, that's the one with Russell Crowe. This is also it's a romantic drama. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, Bake Off. Will you watch it on Netflix?
Yeah, that's like the basic. That's like the way to watch it in the States. I don't know of any other methods. But yeah, it's a great show. And if you've ever watched like any kind of like baking show or like cooking show, like Top Chef or any like the Food Network, like Holiday Baking Championship, like if you haven't tried Great British Baking Show, give it a go. It's so good, so wholesome. It's so British. And it's
so
fun
baking.
watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's so baking. It's so show. So yeah, it's on Netflix. So you might have to take out a mortgage on your house, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's the best deal in Hollywood.
Is that what they say?
Ted Sarandos, man, he's like we will starve out these actors to get one more subscriber. So
I mean, they have to, otherwise, like, who are they have to give $4 million to the Squid Game winner. It's in that big old bowl above their heads.
It's their biggest cash prize ever.
Yeah, it's a completely normal thing.
Diggins, what do you have to rec?
Hello, everybody. I got a couple things to rec here, which is that I watched a couple movies this past week. The first one is I watched it as part of Criterion Channel's 90s horror collection, a little movie called In the Mouth of Madness. This is the third movie in John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, which is one of those trilogies where they call it a trilogy because there's some thematic connections, and they made them in 3 movies in a row, but they're not actually related at all.
Yeah, like the Cornetto trilogy and stuff.
Yeah. For example, the first movie of the Apocalypse trilogy is The Thing. Anyway, so this one is like a big homage to the works of H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh.
It's about an insurance claims investigator who goes looking for an author of like best-selling horror books, who's kind of like a mashup of H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King. Goes looking for him after he goes missing and ends up finding a town from one of this guy's books where things quickly cause him to start questioning his sanity. I think it's a really good homage to that like type of horror. I think John Carpenter is very good at kind of like walking that line between things that are kind of schlocky but also kind of effective, which works super well for this sort of material. And of course, you know, he uses some practical effects that are like really, really cool looking, because that's part of his whole deal. So yeah, overall, like it's a fun horror movie. I think it really captures the themes and all like the interesting things about H.P. Lovecraft's work, while excising most of the racism. So that's always good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a good time with that. And then I also watched and DJ in the Mouth of Madness, like hour 36.
Nice.
Oh, let's go.
And I remembered to bring that up because my next rec is my betrayal of all of our MCU loving fans.
Oh no!
I went to see the movie of number one hater Martin Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Killers of the Flower Moon the other day. And other than the extended rant that Lily Gladstone's character goes on, where she says that if they ever make a movie based on any of the comic books her kid reads, that they'll be the worst things ever and that everyone who reads them should die.
Oh yeah, I guess like when did that take place? Was Superman a thing then?
No, absolutely not. It's well, like actually 1800s? Maybe it's like the 20s.
20s you're getting close. Yeah, you're about 10 years. Maybe if she heard about him, she heard the rumors they were going to make some Superman comics. She could have strong feelings.
Possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. If you don't know about it, Killers of the Flower Moon it's based on a nonfiction book and a real event in American history, where a man at the behest of his family, his uncle specifically, marries into a member of the Osage tribe who have found oil on their land and have become very wealthy. And through a campaign of murder against her relatives, seeks to inherit all of that money that she and her family have.
Okay.
It is 3 hours and 26 minutes long, which again is why I remembered to bring up In the Mouth of Madness's runtime. And it's worth every second. That movie's incredible. I loved Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it is a rough watch. If that description didn't already make it sound like, oh, I'm going to see a lot of people doing horrible things and learn about horrible things in America's history. That's what this is.
How's Leo?
He's really good. Like, I think it's a really effective leaning into his scumbag era.
Yeah.
Where he's still he's still handsome and he still has a charm to the point where you can see why people like him, but also like he's also still a squirrely little scumbag.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he gets both of that across really well in his performance.
Okay.
Lily Gladstone is the one being singled out in a lot of places for her performance, which is well deserved. she is like the heart of that movie. She is the woman that Leo marries, obviously.
God, can you imagine? Now I'm thinking about it. The way you said singled out, I was like, for bad things? And then I was like, man, can you imagine if everybody's coming out of it like, we loved Leo in it, but we did not like anyone else. We think it's a terrible, terrible showing all around. But Leo was good. The white guy nailed it.
Yeah, that would be...
That'd be rough. Hate to be that first reviewer. Is looking out at this crowd like, guys, can we all see it? It's just me.
It's okay because Robert De Niro is also there, so there's another white man we can praise.
Yeah, that's true. We got the whitest man ever, right? Jesse Plemons is in this too. Doesn't get much whiter than that.
Jesse Plemons, who my friend who I saw this with and I describe as the secret sauce for your Oscar movies.
Mm-hmm.
You throw a little Jesse Plemons in there, and it makes everything so much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I don't know. I don't feel like I need to go on and on about this because it's a very critically acclaimed movie that's doing pretty well. So, but if you were interested in seeing Killers of the Flower Moon, I think it is very well worth it.
That will be on. Was that on Apple or Netflix or one of them eventually?
Apple funded that one, so it will eventually be on Apple. But unlike Netflix, they are letting it have a full theatrical run before they do that.
Oh, it's crazy play. What could they be after with this?
I don't know. Who can say?
What could they benefit from in some way? Instead of just kneecapping it by throwing the whole movie onto the computer immediately. I don't know. See if this pays off. What do I have to recommend? Practically nothing. I was scraping. I've been watching a lot of Taskmaster. We're still not caught up, so it's not fun to talk about current Taskmaster yet. I've been watching videos on the internet that are the usual ones I watch. All the talk show hosts are back, which is great because I love late night TV, even though most of it's bad. Can't wait for Nate Bargatze on SNL this week. Very excited for that.
That's exciting.
What an interest. I love it when a comedian hosts.
You could recommend 2025's Magic the Gathering Marvel collaboration.
Well, yeah, to be fair, if you want to do a Marvel collaboration, I played at least half of the Spider-Man game that came out. The thing is, I don't really like it that much, so I'm pretty not the right person to recommend it.
Wow.
I think more of us will come out as time goes on. I think this gets
there are dozens of us.
Yeah. I think it comes out and you're immediately like, okay, oh my God, this is amazing. It's really my problem with it is it relies on one of my least favorite comic book stories and comic book kind of arcs of the Black Suit Saga, and just I have absolutely no fun playing a game where part of it is being Peter Parker and being mean to all your friends and family, and it's part of it's that's not fun, but also part of it is just yeah, I know he's gonna do it, and then they're gonna yell at him, and he's gonna take the suit off, and then he's gonna cry, and we love you so much. There's something about that arc that's almost like what the Dark Phoenix saga is for X-Men, where at this point it's I'd just rather do something else. However, I like Kraven. I like Kraven's Last Hunt as a book. It's its own thing. But yeah, not loving the Black Suit Saga stuff. I think overall as a game, it's fine. I think it's about as good as the old one. That's the only other thing I could say about it. It's if you like the old one, it's good. But
do they take any cues from Spider-Man 3 and have a scene where you bust out your freshest moves at the club?
Yeah, with your cool new hair.
There is a little bit of that, a little bit of and this is another thing I don't think this game's able to completely do is sell the Peter's confident with the suit on. And the new Peter with the suit on, because he goes from him being what is this black stuff? I could punch even harder to full on maniac in a couple of scenes. Whereas I do wish there was a little bit more of that. Just Peter's really feeling himself tonight. He's acting like kind of a dork. But it's fine. I think most people like the game. I do think there's something weird about I think maybe my main problem with the game on a non-narrative level is that, and by problem, I mean thing that I don't like about it. I don't think a lot of the things that I don't like about it make it a bad game. I do think this makes it a bad game. There's lots of gadgets that don't make any sense, that they're just big old bomb and stuff like that it seems like they invented for Spider-Man because Miles Morales has a bunch of extra powers that Spider-Man doesn't have. And you get to play this, you'd be why would I ever want to be Spider-Man 1 when I could be Miles Morales, who could be invisible, which is a power I constantly forget he has, and he can do like big electricity blasts and stuff. Now, pretty much like electricity blasts, like Storm, where I remember it used to be like a little sting, but now it's just like full on. He could throw Electro into the sun, which is why I think the black suit kind of thing for Spider-Man makes sense as like good, now he's about as good as Miles because he could do all kinds of tendril bullshit. But before that, They give him the robot arms in the from the Iron Spider suit, and it's like, don't do that, because then when he gets this black suit and he's like, oh my god, it's incredible, you would actually be like, finally, this guy's got something to do. But they replace a superpower that's almost exactly the same as what they what you get. Also, the Mary Jane levels are better, and but yeah, it's a fine game. So that being said, I would not recommend that, but I didn't love it. Next week, what are we doing, you guys? Hopefully, if we survive our movie theater fights.
I'm so excited.
It's time for Five Nights at Freddy's. I've not seen any reviews for this. Have any of you guys? Are they floating around yet?
No, but you know what I know? It's straight to Peacock, so let's go.
Yeah. I mean, like, people are seeing it, so there must be reactions out, right? I'm surprised I haven't heard a single thing about this now that I'm thinking about it. But it's coming out soon.
Yeah. And that'll be the finale to Hutchtober.
Yeah. And does anybody have anything they'd like to plug, DJ?
Yeah, please check out Roses and Rejections, continued coverage of Golden Bachelor as we approach hometowns. Very curious to see how hometowns are going to go with Golden Bachelor. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, does he even have any living relatives?
It's like all his daughters and stuff.
Is his hometown like Colonial Williamsburg or something? They go like churn butter and stuff.
But yeah, instead of going older, you're going younger, right? It's gonna be his like daughters and granddaughters and stuff. So
that's true.
We'll see.
I feel like for me, it would be like if I was his daughter or granddaughter, I'd be like, the last thing on earth I want to think about is your love life, Grandpa.
Yeah,
do whatever you want.
His daughters recommended him for the show, allegedly. So
insane.
Yeah, take them right to jail after this is done. No, thank you.
Yes, that's it. Diggins, how about you?
Nope. What about you, Nando?
Like right now, no. Probably by the end of this, but by the time the next video or next podcast comes out, I will have finished the Golden Boostular, my Booster Gold fan casting video, as well as a couple of videos like my Spider-Man 2 reaction video thing. But as of right now, none of them are finished, so I cannot plug them at this very moment.
Legally, you can't.
I cannot. Yeah, it would be a crime. And we try to bring you guys the most above board podcast we can.
As few crimes as we can manage.
Unless it's convenient for us to do crimes, but so far we've been pretty lucky that it's been like crimes are not helpful. The minute they become helpful, though, woohoo, adios, scruples. So next week, the finale of Hutchtober. Have a fun, safe Halloween, everybody. Until then, I've been at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
This is an odd name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.